The story kicks off in a world completely rewritten by the Awakening, leaving behind a frozen, desolate hellscape. A group of elites gathered at the entrance. Their target, Death's Lair, an S-rank dungeon nightmare. This place houses an ancient horror. It was the first dungeon to hit planet Azure and stayed undefeated for decades. The entrance was basically a graveyard, paved with the bones of masters who never made it out. But today, the script flipped. A warrior named Suman decided to solo the Death's Lair. No backup, just him. After a brutal showdown, he emerged victorious, having slain the god-tier beast inside. But when he stumbled to the exit, running on fumes, there was no applause. Instead, he got jumped by the guys who were supposed to be his squad. They circled him like vultures, killing intent radiating off them. One guy started trash-talking, telling him to quit stalling and hand over the divine artifact he just looted. Another claimed his fate was already set in stone, mockingly calling him humanity's hero and promising a quick end if he surrendered. Sumin's body began to crackle with static. The realization hit him hard. They sat back and waited for him to clear the dungeon just to steal the prize. He wondered if this backstabbing was the plan from day one. Out of the traitorous pack, a blonde guy named Santan stepped up, drawing a blade that sparked with blue lightning. He squared up against his old friend, formal and cold, demanding the divine artifact. He played the old friend's card, offering mercy in exchange for the loot. With a smug grin, he threatened to crush whatever tiny bit of strength Suman had left. Gripping his own flaming red sword, Suman cursed his own stupidity. He treated these snakes like brothers, fighting side by side since they were kids, never suspecting they were venomous the whole time. Fueled by the bitterness of betrayal, he wasn't going down quietly. He raised his weapon, unleashing a massive blast of red and purple energy from the divine artifact, triggering a shockwave. Standing his ground, he dared his ex-teammates to try him, making it clear, if they wanted the Ring of Deity challenge, they'd have to pry it from his cold, dead hands. Though he doubted any of them had the guts, the raw power left his former allies shook. One of Santan's lackeys lost his cool, screaming to kill him right now. Santan told him to chill, warning that making a move, while Suman held that artifact was suicide. As the standoff heated up, a new figure dropped from the sky, shouting Suman's name. He looked up, stunned to see a pink-haired woman named Xiaomon flying straight at him. She wrapped him in a tight hug, claiming she heard people were plotting against him and rushed over, terrified. Suman told her to relax, assuring her he was good, and that these guys were absolute trash compared to him. Still, part of him wondered how they managed to track his location so perfectly. As he puzzled over it, Santan flashed a meaningful, sinister smirk. Suddenly, Suman felt sharp agony in his back. Xiaomon had driven a blade right into him, whispering the brutal truth she was the snitch who leaked his coordinates. Shocked, Suman stared at her as a red magic circle glowed on the hand gripping the dagger. He couldn't wrap his head around it. Why her? Why did it have to be her? Across the battlefield, Santan roared in victory, announcing the final catalyst was locked in. He ordered the imprisonment formation to activate. Instantly, a massive red symbol blazed in the sky above Suman, trapping him. Glowing red chains erupted from his wound, coiling around his body like serpents, suppressing his energy. He recognized the cursed brand. It belonged to Xiaomon. It clicked. She had been plotting this backstab for a long time. Santan strolled over and stood next to Xiaomon, draping an arm around her mockingly. He explained this sealing formation was custom-made, just for him, designed to completely neutralize his power. Xiaomon added coldly that she had always been on Team Santan, making it clear Suman was nothing but a tool to them. Because of his rare 9-star talent, they needed him to grind for the divine artifact. Broken and betrayed, Suman collapsed to his knees, screaming in rage and physical agony. With Suman bound and helpless, Santan gave the order, kill him, and grab the gear. The goons moved in with glowing weapons, ready to execute him. Just as the killing blow was about to land, the ground exploded. A gigantic skeletal hand burst through the earth, followed by a wave of skeletal warriors that intercepted the attackers, forming a bone shield around Suman. He watched in total shock, wondering who the hell just saved him. The savior was a mystery woman with light lilac hair. A figure in a hooded cloak hits the deck. Suman clocks her instantly. It's Yi Yao, the necromancer, planting herself right between him and the enemy squad. Gripping a massive staff, she screams for him to stay in the fight, totally locked in on stopping these villains from snagging the artifact. Santang just laughs in her face, treating her appearance like a joke, just another body for the pile. He starts flexing his numbers, bragging that with dozens of masters on deck, not even the great emperor could save Suman's skin now. Total chaos erupts as Santang's goons crash into Yi Yao's undead army, while the boss himself charges straight for her, seeing red. He's out for blood, ready to delete anyone in his lane. But mid-combat, one of Santang's lackeys yells out a warning about a flank attack. But it's a total fake-out, a dirty distraction. Yi Yao spins around, caught off guard, and that's when Santang makes his move, swinging a lightning-wrapped weapon with zero hesitation. Suman's pinned down, forced to watch in slow-motion horror as the strike connects. With Yi Yao out of the picture, Santang goes for the throat. He tells Suman that caring about others is for losers, and now, it's game over. Then he drives his glowing azure blade deep into Suman's chest, leaning in to offer one final, twisted ultimatum. Hand over the artifact, and maybe, just maybe, he walks away alive. But Suman isn't having it. Blood spilling from his lips, he strains against the magic bindings in pure defiance. He stares daggers at the traitors, eyes burning with hate, looking at them like the absolute monsters they are. Dark, terrifying energy, swirling red and black, starts charging up inside him. It's a Hail Mary play. Sumin triggers the nuclear option, a self-destruct sequence, the god-tier technique known as the Annihilation Burst. A massive explosion rips out from his core, blowing Santang and Xiaoman back in pure shock. When the dust finally settles, the battlefield is dead silent. Barely hanging on, Suman drags his broken body over to Yi Yao. He cradles her, drowning in guilt, asking why she'd sacrifice everything for a guy who failed her so many times. Yi Yao just gives him a weak, peaceful smile, touching his cheek. She accepts it if this is the end. At least they go out together. But just as his life bar is flashing empty, Suman gets one last adrenaline spike. His sword manifests out of thin air and slams into the ground, a final statement of war. Clutching Yi Yao's body, Sumin the Godslayer swears a blood oath right then and there. He vows that if he gets a respawn, he's hunting Xiaoman and Santang down and tearing them apart, piece by piece. The traitors watch from a distance, confused, until Santang's face twists in sudden realization. He figures out Suman's endgame. The guy plans to take the divine artifact with him to the grave. He's dragging it down into the abyss of the Death's Lair so they can never touch it. With his final vow spoken, Suman makes it clear, if they want the loot, they gotta jump for it. Then, holding Yi Yao tight, he leaps off the cliff. They plummet into the chaotic energy below. Suddenly, the ring of Tao Defiance on his finger explodes with blinding golden light. The world fades to white. Suman's grip goes limp. It feels like the end. But then snap, his consciousness reboots. He's not in some dark abyss. He's staring up at a crisp blue sky and a familiar school building. Total confusion sets in as a voice echoes from a PA system. An announcer is calling out results for the 127th Awakening Ceremony. At the first Xuanjing Academy, a student named Wang Qiang just successfully awakened. But it's a dud. He's an enchanter, a lifestyle class with zero combat skills. And Sumin? He's standing there, de-aged, lost in a sea of teenagers. Whispers float around him about how the school's RNG is trash this year. The words awakening ceremony hit him like a freight train. A wave of deja vu crashes over him, and the reality sinks in. He traveled back. He's 18 again. It's day one. Standing in the crowd, the memories of this exact day come flooding back in 4K resolution. He spots Wang Qiang, the guy everyone used to call Fatty. He remembers Wang was an enchanter in the past life too. This isn't a dream, it's a redo. Testing his memory, he predicts the next pulls. Li Xian Yang is going to hit a 2-star warrior class. Chen Yu is going to fail, and San Li turns into a battle mage. It plays out script perfect. Li Xian Yang starts celebrating his warrior status. Chen Yu breaks down crying, after failing hard. And then, San Li awakens as a battle mage. It's all matching up exactly. Every shred of doubt evaporated instantly. A cocky grin spread across his face as the reality hit him he had actually been reborn. But that smile twisted into pure rage the second the agonizing memories of Santang and Xiaoman's betrayal flashed through his mind like a horror movie. He realized this do-over was a straight-up gift from the heavens, a golden ticket to rewrite history and clap back at everyone he regretted leaving behind. His train of thought got derailed by the crowd roaring. On stage, a younger version of Santang was in the middle of waking up. Bathed in a sick purple aura, the announcer hyped up the crowd. Santang just triggered a rare hidden combat class, Demonic Puppet Warrior, rocking a powerful 8-star innate attribute. The students were buzzing with excitement, whispering that this insane level of power is exactly what you'd expect from the young master of the prestigious Yang family. Hearing them simp for his enemy, Su Ming just stared at his future nemesis, with a gaze full of cold, burning hatred. While the MC celebrated the school's new genius, Su Ming felt a tap on his shoulder. He spun around and froze. It was Yi Yao, young, vibrant, and totally alive, in her school uniform. She'd clearly been hunting for him, but seeing his jaw on the floor, she tilted her head in confusion. Totally overwhelmed, Su Ming pulled it together. But for a split second, the traumatic vision of her dying in his arms played in his head. A soft, genuine smile warmed his face. The relief of seeing her breathing again was indescribable. Right then, the announcer boomed the next name. Yi Yao flinched, startled. She stepped up and slapped her hand on the heavenly stele, a massive ancient artifact crackling with electric blue energy. The second she made contact, a massive surge of power erupted from the stone, engulfing her completely. The announcer, jaw practically on the floor, screamed that Yi Yao had also awakened a hidden combat class, Necromancer, with a 7-star attribute. The other students were shook, murmuring in total disbelief. Su Ming just watched with a chill, confident smirk. He knew this was coming. Everything was playing out exactly like the script in his head. Now, it was showtime. The host called Su Ming. As he walked toward the stage, Yi Yao whispered a quick, "Good luck." The crowd wasn't vibing with him though, whispering that there's no way a third hidden class could pop up, especially not for a broke orphan like Su Ming. But let's zoom out for a sec to understand the stakes. This is Planet Azure, inside the Dragon Nation, a world completely dominated by powerful awakened warriors. The awakening phenomenon hit decades ago. Now, every kid turns 18 and steps up to the plate. They join the ceremony to become an awakened. These guys flipped the world order, gaining insane power. They can bend reality and stack massive wealth. But that power comes with a heavy price tag. Because awakened have to face constant peril, battling ferocious beasts and raiding monster-filled dungeons. As Su Ming approached the heavenly stele, memories of his past life as a struggling orphan flooded back. He used to survive on handouts and scholarships. But in his first life, the awakening day was his big break. A glorious phenomenon descended, granting him an extremely rare 9-star innate attribute, along with the legendary class, Godslayer. Now, standing on the stage of his second life, he was ready to rewrite his destiny. He reached for the awakening artifact, determined to make everyone see him in a whole new light. Boom! A massive explosion of purple and pink energy detonated. It triggered a spectacular phenomenon in the sky. The announcer stared, totally unable to process what he was seeing, wondering if this energy signaled the birth of a 9-star genius or maybe something even godlier. Yi Yao and the rest of the class were equally shook. Su Ming braced himself for the familiar rush of his original runes. But the script flipped. A glowing blue symbol blazed on his chest, and a divine artifact materialized right out of it. It was the Ring of Defiance, the very item he died with. Su Ming was completely floored. Realizing the ring had time-traveled with him was crazy enough, but before he could even process that, another plot twist hit. A weird sensation rippled through his body as a holographic screen popped up. Ding! System notification. The ultimate Godslayer system is successfully binding. It alerted him that a new class had been assigned. Awakening status, successful. But instead of his old class, he rolled something way more broken. A mythical class known as Sword God. Su Ming just stood there, staring into the void, absolutely dumbfounded, questioning if a mythical class was even real, while the sheer weight of his title unleashed an immense wave of red energy. The entire arena went dead silent. Even the host, jaw practically on the floor, couldn't process what kind of class could trigger a phenomenon like that. Down in the pit, students were losing it, debating the meaning. Some were terrified if this was a non-combat class. Su Min was cooked. But Santan wasn't buying it, convinced that kind of insane visual couldn't belong to a support class. Still, just watching, sweat was pouring down his face. The pressure from Su Min's aura was so heavy, he was basically paralyzed. Meanwhile, Su Min stood, totally chill in the eye of that energy storm, reading the data scrolling on the gold holographic panel. It confirmed his awakened class, Sword God, different from the Godslayer class in his past life. He tapped the system interface, completing an ID scan that verified him as Su Min. Then, the stats dropped. His class was Sword God, paired with a gilded talent called Universal Ascension. This cheat ability let him upgrade or evolve, literally anything. Su Min was shook. He realized this gold-tier talent was ranked way above even the legendary 9-star class he'd awakened before. A confident smirk crept onto his face. He knew this new power completely outclassed any divine hierarchy. Hyped to check his kit, he opened the skills tab. But that excitement turned to pure horror. The screen showed 0 progress and a single notification, no skills awakened. Su Min saw red. He gripped the hologram tight, screaming internally. How does a gold-ranked talent come with absolutely 0 skills? While he was raging at the menu, the crowd started getting restless, confused by the lag. Finally, the host asked if the awakening was done. Su Min stared at the empty interface with pure venom. He couldn't believe it. After unlocking a supposedly god-tier class, he had an empty loadout. He started thinking the system was trolling him. Suddenly, a new prompt flashed, saying his feedback was logged and the tutorial was resuming. A new marker snapped his attention to the gold challenge ring floating in front of him. Confused, Su Min eyed the ring as it started to glow. The system announced the divine artifact was successfully identified. Instantly, the system panel flared up, and a massive pillar of golden light exploded from Su Min's spot, shooting straight into the heavens. A shockwave blasted out, forcing the host, who was also the academy director, to brace himself just to stay standing. High above that celestial beam, a gigantic multicolored star materialized with the number 10 dead center. The director's eyes bugged out. He recognized that symbol, a 10-star innate attribute. Voice shaking with disbelief, he announced that Su Min had awakened a 10-star hidden class called Swordmaster. The crowd erupted into chaos, screaming about this heaven-defying talent, a level reserved for the nation's elite. Santan stood in absolute silence, completely stunned. Another student commented that while Santan's 8-star awakening was crazy, Su Min just dropped a maxed-out 10-star attribute. The director, beaming with joy, declared this a historic year for the academy. Not only did they get multiple hidden classes, but now a chosen one with a 10-star stat. He admitted that while the Swordmaster class wasn't top-tier meta with such high innate talent, Su Min's potential was infinite. As a reward, he announced he'd personally gift him a full set of support items for cultivation. But not everyone was buying the hype. Whispers of disappointment started rippling through the crowd. Some students called it a waste of talent, explaining that Swordmaster was basically a trash-tier class. A few tried to defend him, claiming that with enough grinding, a Swordmaster could be a reliable DPS, and with Su Min's talent, he'd crush it. Up on the stage, Su Min heard every single shade-throwing comment. He turned his head slightly, eyes shadowed, realizing they all saw. His Swordmaster class is useless garbage. While the mob kept murmuring, Ji Yao rushed over to him. With a bright smile, she congratulated him on the awakening. Su Min responded calmly. Ji Yao told him to ignore the haters, reminding him that awakening, a 10-star talent, was insane. She admitted Swordmaster might be weak early game. She was convinced his raw talent would act as a shield against the haters. Su Ming flashed a warm, deceptive smile, brushing off her concerns like they were nothing. Internally, he knew the truth. Being underestimated was the ultimate tactical advantage, a concept that left Ji Yao totally perplexed. The ceremony rolled on as the announcer called the next name. The crowd erupted into chaos as Xiaoman, the school's undisputed queen bee, strutted toward the stage, with Santang hyping her up from the sidelines. Ji Yao marveled at the clout, but Su Ming? Stone-cold silence. He didn't even stick around to watch. He spun on his heel and started walking away. Ji Yao, confused, called out that the show wasn't over. Su Ming dropped a frosty reply without breaking stride. Not interested. As he put distance between himself and the noise, the PTSD from his past life hit him like a freight train. Visions of Xiaoman using him as a stepping stone, betraying him, and slaughtering him without a second thought. The blood oath he swore in his dying moments surged back, fueling his thirst for vengeance in this timeline. Later, Su Ming wandered the city streets. The world looked familiar, a carbon copy of his memories. But beneath the surface, the game had changed, and so had he. He pulled up his HUD and spotted a passive skill, Total Concealment, a legendary tier ability that allowed him to mask or spoof his gear stats, class info, and skill tree. He instantly recognized it as one of the 4 cheat codes he'd managed to drag back from his previous life. That sparked another memory, the God's Challenge Brilliant Ring. He stared at his hands, eyes wide, realizing the divine artifact had actually glitched through time with him. As he focused on the ring, his system interface pinged awake. Notification, loading divine artifact. As the ring synced up, a new prompt flashed, confirming Su Ming had successfully inherited partial skills from his old divine class. He froze, mind blown. How could he stack skills from his past build when his current class was already the Sword God? A detailed status window materialized, displaying Su Ming, level 1, with perfectly balanced base stats. His class was locked in as Sword God Mythic tier, unique to this world, and his talent listed as Universal Ascension. The skill tab was stacked: Godslayer Blade, Total Concealment, Shadow Step, and Insight Eye. Armed with this intel, Su Ming started plotting his next move. There's an old saying, he who holds the treasure invites the target. To avoid being a pawn again, and because he was still low level, he knew he had to play it stealthy. While his 10-star talent was impossible to hide completely, he decided to cloak all data regarding his true mythic class, the Sword God. He swore to squeeze every drop out of this second chance and never repeat the rookie mistakes of his past life. He knew the meta, the beginner dungeon challenge, would unlock exactly 2 days after the awakening ceremony. With his game knowledge and busted skills, that dungeon was going to be a cakewalk. The goal? Power level faster than anyone else and loot the best gear. To do that, he decided to speedrun, straight to the dungeon's hardest boss from the jump. But first, he needed a decent weapon. Meanwhile, in a penthouse suite inside the skyscraper known as the Palace, the vibe was totally different. Santang and Xiaoman were lounging, Xiaoman teased him for dragging her to such a flashy spot right after the event. Santang, clearly salty, ignored the banter and vented about Su Ming stealing his thunder. But Xiaoman was already playing 4D chess. She told him to chill, explaining that even if Su Ming awakened as a swordmaster, his stats were off the charts. She assured him that Su Ming was a valuable asset, just waiting to be exploited. Curious, Santang asked for the details. Xiaoman gave a sly smile and slid her phone over. One look, and Santang's face shifted from annoyed to stunned. With a cold, calculating gaze, Xiaoman laid out the blueprint. She was certain that if they dangled a little carrot in front of Su Ming, he'd bite. Then, just like before, they could puppet him for their own agenda. Sticking to his own grind, Su Ming arrived at a massive skyscraper housing the weapon market. He hit the elevator to the 12th floor, greeted by a clerk from the Arms Emporium. As he navigated the aisles, he noticed the place was packed with fresh awakeners prepping for the newbie dungeon run. He overheard several broke students complaining about prices, realizing most were destined for the hard grind. Su Ming was just hunting for decent gear when the hype train completely derailed his plans. A massive mob had formed around a specific display case, blocking the aisle. They were drooling over a glowing blue blade, the Tyrant's Frost Blade. It was a diamond-tier artifact, allegedly crafted by a pro-level Grand Swordsman player. The crowd whispered legends about its power, claiming it could freeze a monster's blood instantly, but the price tag of 1 million adventurer coins had them all terrified. Su Ming fought back a smirk. He knew the tea from his past life that sword was a total scam, and the merchants peddling it were destined for handcuffs. His internal monologue crashed when a woman dripping in wealth approached him. She rocked a sharp gray cut and was flanked by 2 hulking bodyguards who meant business. She verified he was Su Ming before introducing herself as Yang Lan, VP of the Yangnan Group, and slid him a business card. Su Ming took it, feigning ignorance, claiming her name didn't ring a bell. Yang Lan brushed off the shade. Projecting her voice so the onlookers could eavesdrop, she announced that the Yang Group would comp all his expenses for the day. Then came the hook. She needed a favor. She signaled a bodyguard to flash a photo. It showed a beaming young girl with hidden eyes, posing amidst a field of white flowers. Yang Lan introduced her as Yang Juning, her little sister who attended his school and had just awakened her powers. She dropped the bomb that she'd already dug into Su Ming's background and knew about his insane 10-star potential. She figured with his stats, the beginner dungeon would be an absolute breeze. Since the zone was gate-kept to rookies only, she finally made her pitch. She wanted Su Ming to party up with her sister and play bodyguard, ensuring she cleared the trial without a scratch. Su Ming didn't hesitate. He shut down the proposal instantly and turned to walk away. Yang Lan was visibly rattled, yelling that he could pick any weapon in the shop if he agreed. Radio silence. She was seething. In her mind, this broke student was just getting lucky. He had zero right to disrespect her like that. Just as Yang Lan was about to lose her cool, Su Ming stopped dead in his tracks, looking totally zen. He spun around and pointed a finger straight at the crown jewel of the shop, the Tyrant's Frost Blade, that fake sword, worth 1 million coins. Yang Lan saw red, convinced he was trying to blatantly extort her. She thought he was playing games and doubting he was worth that kind of cash. Su Ming simply reminded her that she was the one who offered any weapon. He made it crystal clear. If she was going to walk back on her word, the deal was dead. With a cocky grin, Su Ming dropped some final advice, suggesting her sister better start training for real, hinting that there are some things money just can't buy. Suddenly, Yang Lan's rage evaporated, replaced by an intrigued smirk. She found Su Ming fascinating and admitted to herself she'd pushed too hard. She swept out of the store with her entourage. The crowd was left with their jaws on the floor, whispering about how this random student had just toyed with the corporate elite of the Yang Group. A moment later, a notification hit Su Ming's phone. It was from Xiaoman. The text was scripted exactly like his memories. She claimed to have had a change of heart, hinting at romantic feelings, and asked for a rooftop rendezvous at the academic building tonight. Su Ming stared at the screen with dark amusement, noting that even if she hadn't awakened as the Godslayer yet, her manipulative playbook hadn't changed a bit. Fueled by his vow of vengeance, he typed out a reply, accepting the meetup. With that drama handled, Su Ming locked back in on his gear hunt. He flagged down a clerk and asked about a display filled with jagged, rock-like lumps known as sword stones. The employee explained that these stones carried a slim chance of dropping a silver-tier weapon, but warned that the RNG was brutal, and most of them were total duds. To her shock, Su Ming told her that was exactly what he wanted. Su Ming's logic was simple. Instead of dropping a fortune on a silver weapon that would become obsolete gear in a week, it was better to gamble on the stones. But here's the kicker. For him, the house didn't win. He could literally see the hidden data inside the stones, thanks to a cheat code he brought from his past life, the Eye of Insight. A system panel confirmed This legendary skill allowed him to peel back the layers of reality. Activating his vision, Su Ming snatched up a stone with zero hesitation. He knew a legit silver weapon would usually cost hundreds or even thousands of adventurer coins, but snagging a treasure from a bargain bin rock? That was a golden ticket for a broke guy like him. As he sat there gripping the weapon stone, he started turning heads. A blonde guy nearby clocked him immediately, recognizing Su Ming as the dude who had the guts to reject the massive Yang group. The blonde kid and his two lackeys rolled up on Su Ming, smirking like they owned the place, cracking up that he'd turned down a free ride from a megacorp just to gamble on a piece of trash stone. They called him a total moron and roasted him relentlessly. But Su Ming? He didn't even flinch. He recognized the blonde bully instantly, Yang Din, a rich kid who spent his past life making life hell for lower-level students. Figuring this was more annoying than threatening, Su Ming decided to have a little fun. With zero panic, Su Ming turned to Yandin and dropped a challenge. 5,000 adventurer coins, says he pulls a silver rank weapon, right out of the stone in his hand. After a second of stunned silence, Yandin and his crew burst out laughing, convinced Su Ming had officially lost his mind. Yandin sneered, fully believing the rock was 99% garbage and thinking he'd never seen anyone so eager to burn cash. Su Ming stood his ground, knowing exactly who was about to look stupid. When the coins changed hands, Yandin took the bet instantly, and a crowd of onlookers gathered for the show. Su Ming decided to crack the stone right there, no backing down. With everyone's eyes glued to him, he triggered the Eye of Insight. His vision shifted, revealing a glowing red blade buried deep inside the rock. Without wasting a second, he smashed the stone. A blinding red light detonated, and a massive sword shot out. Yandin, his boys, and the entire crowd froze, jaws on the floor, as Su Ming casually snatched the weapon out of the air by the hilt. The system interface popped up. Crimson Black Iron Sword, a low silver rank weapon. Equipped with a passive effect called Crimson Drinker, this thing could drain monster blood to heal the user. Dead silence filled the room. Su Ming gave the sword a few swings, evaluating the craftsmanship. Not bad. With a cold, calculated look, he figured this blade would be perfect for his meetup with Xiaoman tonight. Yandin and his squad were stuck in glitch mode, unable to process that Su Ming just pulled silver gear from a junk stone. Su Ming checked the stats again. That lifesteal ability was a game changer. Meant he wouldn't need to babysit a healer in the next dungeon run. The system panel confirmed the specs. Silver rank black steel sword, with 10% life absorption. As Yandin watched in pure terror, Su Ming pointed the blade right at him, reminding the rich kid that a bet is a bet, and those 5,000 coins had a new owner. Defeated, Yandin transferred the funds and stormed off, holding the L and swearing revenge. Su Ming figured that was a solid lesson on why you don't make reckless bets. The shop assistant watched the whole thing, stunned, knowing nobody had pulled a real weapon out of those stones in years. Flush with his new cash, Su Ming headed back to the counter to grab a scabbard, asking if 5,000 coins would cover it. The clerk nodded. Su Ming bought a fancy silver rank plated scabbard that reduced weapon durability loss by 50%. He was satisfied, knowing this would keep the sword in prime condition for way longer. As he held the sheathed blade, a system notification flashed, asking if he wanted to trigger a hidden feature, weapon manifestation. Su Ming declined. Not yet, the timing wasn't right. A faint smile touched his lips. He needed to upgrade the weapon's rank first. Later, while strolling through a park, Su Ming broke down his current status. Sure, he had awakened as the sword god, but he still lacked active class skills. However, his class came with an insane primal talent, Universal Ascension. This cheat code allowed him to upgrade the quality of any item exactly once, making his mythic class actually live up to the hype. Gripping the sword, Su Ming decided to test the power. The system announced the activation of Universal Ascension. Boom, success. The Crimson Drinker effect got a massive buff. The sword started pulsing with a violent red aura. A final pop-up displayed the new stats. It had evolved into a high silver rank Crimson Black Steel sword. Its main skill now drained blood on contact. Plus, he unlocked a new ability called Bloodlust, which granted a temporary stat boost after every kill. Su Ming grinned. This was exactly what he needed. Locked and loaded with the hidden weapon manifestation, he knew the next day's starter dungeon was going to be a total breeze. That same night, Su Ming pulled up to the academy rooftop. He stood there, silhouetted against the neon futuristic skyline, gripping his brand new blade. Xiaoman was already waiting. She turned with that signature seductive smile, but the vibe shifted instantly. Zero talk. Su Ming lunged. She barely dodged the strike, and the steel slammed into the concrete ledge right where she'd been standing. Xiaoman froze, eyes wide with disbelief. Su Ming stared her down with sub-zero eyes, making it crystal clear he was here for payback. A chaotic memory flashed in his mind. His death in the previous timeline, bleeding out while clutching a dying Yao, with Xiaoman watching them, smiling. Zero remorse. Now, Xiaoman looked confused and furious, unable to process why Su-ming was crashing out like this after just accepting her confession. Su-ming didn't flinch, standing like a statue with a chilling smirk. He knew that confession belonged to a dead timeline. He rewound the tape in his head. She had been the Academy's it girl, while he was just some lonely orphan. He remembered the day after the first awakening ceremony, when she approached him with that fake sweet smile, pretending to care. From that moment, he felt seen. That validation led to him confessing over text, the dates, and a relationship he thought was the real deal. But it all crumbled when he saw the memory of her with Sang-tang, the ultimate betrayal, snap back to reality. Su-ming's face contorted with pure rage, remembering the lies. He called her out on using him as a stepping stone, and her shady backroom deals with Song-tong, acting like he had the receipts for everything. Xiaoman looked shook and tried to deny it, but Su-ming wasn't hearing it. He knew she was lying through her teeth and that her perfect princess image was a total scam. To him, she was just empty trash. That broke her. Xiaoman lost it. The mask slipped completely, her face twisting into something ugly and hateful. She sneered at Su-ming, telling him she always saw him as inferior, claiming a talentless loser like him didn't even deserve to breathe the same air. Then she dropped the threat. Neither she nor Sang-tang were going to let him slide. After the insults, Su-ming just laughed it off with a mocking grin. He decided to poke the bear, telling her she should worry less about him and more about how this little incident would ruin that perfect, innocent reputation she guarded so carefully. That pushed her over the edge. Blinded by rage, Xiaoman lunged for the sword Su-ming had left, stuck in the concrete, and swung it at him with zero hesitation. As the steel slashed toward him, Su-ming got déjà vu in his past life. She'd pulled this exact same move. The difference? This time he was ready. Seconds before impact, crimson energy threads burst from the weapon, freezing the blade in midair. Xiaoman stood there, paralyzed by shock. The system confirmed. Crimson Drinker ability activated. Red energy tendrils snaked out from the hilt, wrapping tight around Xiaoman's body. Su-ming knew the trap was sprung. The moment he'd marked her with the weapon skill, it was game over. One of the threads lashed out, whipping straight across her face. A piercing scream ripped through the air as she realized her face was ruined. She collapsed to the floor, while Su-ming stood over her, icy and unbothered. This was just karma, coming to collect. He almost considered this the official start of his revenge tour, but she started shrieking again, swearing she'd get Sang-tang to end him. Su-ming didn't even blink. He recalled the sword, watching it dissolve back into his inventory, and turned his back to walk away. In his mind, he dared Sang-tang to try it. This attack was just a warning shot. Leaving her sobbing on the rooftop, Su-ming realized that strike didn't just cut her skin. It severed the last shred of pathetic affection he ever had for her. Later, his phone buzzed. A notification popped up, a gift from the Academy. It was a DM from Principal Wang, congratulating him on his awakening and dropping a reward package to help him gear up for the starter dungeon. The kit included a strengthening pill and a basic set, with a full combat loadout and 10,000 adventurer coins in the bank. The next morning at 6 sharp, Su-ming clutched the enhancement pill the principal had sent over. He recognized the hustle, but he could sense the pity dripping off it. They still thought his 10-star talent was wasted on a trash-tier class. He tossed it back, tasted like straight garbage, but that nastiness vanished the second his body exploded with a blinding golden aura. A system ping flashed before his eyes. Boom, the pill just dropped 10 points straight into his constitution, and 100 XP. Just like that, he hit level 2 and snagged 10 free attribute points to spend. Status update complete. He unlocked a new passive, innate sword body. It meant he had forged a literal blade in his heart. Any sword skill? He could master it. Zero restrictions. Su-ming smirked. He knew it. This was the perks of being a 10-star genius. Leveling up just hits different. He could unlock skills just by grinding levels. Hype levels rising. He made a mental note. Time to wreck the beginner dungeon and show them what real power looks like. Moments later, he hit the access zone for the first Academy starter dungeon. The plaza was packed, students everywhere, portals glowing. Suddenly, a squad rolled up. The same clowns who roasted his class yesterday. Now, they were begging to party up. They were all over him, hyping his 10-star talent and the principal's gift, figuring this run would be a cakewalk. They offered to carry his so-called weak swordsman class, acting like they were doing him a massive favor, but they just wanted a free ride on his DPS. Su-ming felt sick at the fake vibes and shut them down cold. "I'm already booked," he told them. Yi Yao caught that last part and walked over, eyes wide. She had been looking for a squad, and she showed up early just to snag him first. Su-ming scratched his head. He tried to let her down easy. His grind wasn't about basic loot, and he didn't want her catching strays. But in his head, he was already locking in a solo run. Before Yi Yao could even process that, Some blue-haired dude with a cocky grin cut in. Enter Yanxi, a 9-star demon hunter scout. He dropped a formal intro and asked Su Ming to join his crew. Su Ming clocked him instantly from his past life. Hard pass. Didn't even hesitate. Before the guy could push it, Yi Yao stepped up, shielding Su Ming. "We're full," she bluffed. The crowd took the hint and backed off with awkward apologies. Once the mob cleared, Su Ming shot Yi Yao a look of genuine thanks. She was a real one. Then, he checked the time. The dungeon launch was seconds away. Right on cue, a massive blue portal started spinning up. The PA system announced the start of Beginner Challenge 127. A giant hologram of Principal Wang flickered into existence above the portal. The guy looked like he just rolled out of bed, mumbling a quick apology for oversleeping. Then came the briefing. Mandatory 1-day survival test. Everyone's logged in. You get points based on your kill count. He strongly suggested squatting up. Better odds of not dying, and actually clearing the run before the clock runs out. While the principal was still yapping, Yi Yao turned to check on Su Ming. Empty space. She spun around, confused. The second the dungeon was declared open, a blur shot past the crowd and dove straight into the swirling portal. The students gasped. A solo challenger? It was Su Ming. The 10-star prodigy went in alone. Inside the transfer zone, a wave of nostalgia hit him. He remembered his first life, the terror, the adrenaline. Then, a booming voice echoed. "Welcome, rookies," it warned them. "This place is a gold mine, but it's also a graveyard. To exit, kill the normal boss." But the voice hinted at a harder path with insane rewards for the crazy ones. Su Ming's eyes hardened. He knew the play. This time, he wasn't settling for normal. He was hunting the ultimate hidden boss. He spawned into a lush, moonlit jungle. System tag, Furious Tide Forest, rank F zone. He noticed immediately that the map RNG had reset. This layout was totally different from last year's run. He knew the spawn mechanics were total RNG for every challenger, which meant freestyling his path on the fly. That meant rolling the dice on which nightmares he'd face, adding a whole new layer of sketchiness to the run. Pushing forward, Su Ming barely had time to breathe before running into a major threat, a massive, sentient tree monster. The thing was crowned in hellfire, sporting a carved wooden face that looked like pure nightmare fuel. He remembered the lore. This beast was rooted in place, but it used those vines to drag victims straight into its personal inferno. But Su Ming wasn't here to brawl. With every mob that crossed his path, his eyes were on the prize, locating the hidden boss. So, he made the call to ghost these high-level threats entirely. Scanning his holomap, he plotted a course with surgical precision. The whole point of his early entry was to snag that early game advantage. He needed to map out the fresh layout and farm the specific items required to summon the secret boss. Even though the dungeon layout shuffled every year, he knew the meta for triggering the boss fight hadn't changed. He had to speedrun this before the rest of the student body arrived and made looting those items a total grind. Plan locked in, he blurred into motion, tearing through the dense forest like a phantom. A bit later, exactly at 7:30 in the morning, another squad of students stepped into the kill zone. A girl with light blue hair and her two teammates scanned the silent clearing. Seeing zero competition nearby, they let their guard down, thinking the area was chill. That false sense of security shattered the second the girl picked up a noise crashing through the trees and flagged her team. Looking up, they watched another student smash through the vegetation and hit the dirt right next to them. The guy, clutching a hammer, hit the ground, hollering for his life. The new squad just stood there, paralyzed, as the source of the panic burst into view: two giant monster rats. Their crimson eyes were glowing. Recognizing the bloodthirsty vermin, the students' morale hit absolute zero. Full-blown panic set in. They scattered like roaches, running for their lives. Back at the Plaza Hub, the reality of the exam was hitting hard. At 7:31 a.m., a live kill feed popped up over the portal, announcing that 3 challengers had already been devoured by the rats. The strongest student to get wiped was Lied, a 6-star ranker. Gigao, who was still trying to build a squad, was shook, seeing a 6-star elite get deleted that fast. She started screaming at everyone to speed up team formation, warning them that the people inside were in desperate need of backup. Meanwhile, deep inside the raging Tide Forest, things were going critical. The blue-haired girl from earlier was sprinting for survival, now solo and bleeding. In the chaos, she'd been separated from her crew and got completely turned around. Trying to get her bearings, she sensed a heavy presence. Looking up, she spotted the silhouette of a massive ape-like monster perched in the canopy. The creature dropped to the ground, staring daggers at her with pure malice. Frozen stiff with fear, the girl could only watch as the beast launched itself straight at her. In her final moment, she squeezed her eyes shut and screamed for someone, anyone, to save her. Suddenly, a crimson streak flashed past her with insane speed. Su Ming entered the chat. His black crimson steel sword became a blur of motion as he intercepted the ape monster. Total anarchy consumed the newly awakened students, who found themselves scattered and outmatched. One terrified student cursed his terrible RNG after stumbling upon a level 5 blood bear. His regret turned into a blood-curdling scream as the beast skewered him before he could even react. The chaos wasn't isolated. Across the entire forest, other students were fleeing from nightmares, like the level 2 swamp hunter and the level 3 tracking hound, with many meeting the same gruesome game over. Comms channels were exploding with SOS calls, reporting that the teleportation points were being spawn-camped by monster hordes, begging for reinforcements that weren't coming. Amidst the massacre, one girl found herself totally alone, surrounded by the lifeless bodies of her teammates. Broken by grief and terror, she collapsed into the tall grass, shivering as she remembered her squad telling her to stay hidden. It had barely been half an hour since the test started, and the difficulty spike was so insane, she doubted anyone would survive. No rookie stands a chance out here in the deep woods. The girl with light blue hair is totally frozen, backed into a corner by a massive, hulking ape monster. The beast lunges, but Xing, a flurry of sword slashes, rips through the air instantly. Suman blurs past, vaulting over the terrified girl and sticking a perfect superhero landing right between her and the beast. She stares up at him, totally shook. She thinks he just one-shotted that monster with god-tier strength. Relief washes over her as she clocks his face. Wait, isn't that the legendary 10-star student? Suman stays icy cool, acting like he just happened to be strolling through the neighborhood, but he drops a truth bomb he can't save her twice. And oh yeah, that monster? It's not dead yet. Blue Hair's jaw drops. The thing is still breathing? She spins around and sees a looming shadow towering over her. Panic mode engaged, she decides it's time to bail and find backup. She bolts. Now it's just Suman and the beast. He calmly toggles on his perception eye. The system HUD pops up. Target identified. Mutated Ape King, a ferocious level 3 mob. Massive strength and constitution stats, but its agility is trash. Since it's a mutant type, Suman realizes why it tanked a direct hit from his silver-grade weapon without dying. The Ape King recovers and launches into the air, bringing those massive fists down for a skull-crushing smash. Suman sidesteps it like it's nothing. He cracks a smirk, not bad speed for a big guy. Time to test his limits. He digs into his memory bank for skills inherited from his past life. He selects option 3, Hidden God Step. The system ping confirms the buff massive speed boost incoming. It cranks his speed up by 50% and grants total immunity. He's literally untargetable. The catch? It drains stamina like crazy. A surge of teal energy wraps around Suman. Poof. He vanishes and instantly spawns right behind the confused Ape King. The beast roars and spins to attack, but Suman is already gone in another flash of light. Hovering above the stumbling monster, Suman decides to wrap this up. This fight is too one-sided. It's boring. The Ape King looks up, sheer terror in its eyes. Suman's silhouette reflects in the beast's trembling pupil. Game over. He delivers a devastating final slash, cleaving the monster clean in two. Ding! Victory confirmed. As the corpse glitches out and dissolves into data, the loot screen pops up. Sweet. A skill scroll. It's just a low-level bronze single-target skill. Standing over the enemy remains, he shrugs. It's not S tier. But for a rookie dungeon? Not bad. Suddenly, a blinding golden light engulfs him. A massive First Blood title flashes in front of him. Then, a server-wide announcement blasts through the dungeon. It declares that a level 2 swordsman just scored the first kill on the mutated Ape King, securing the First Blood title for the whole instance. Other students fighting for their lives are stunned. They stare at the notification. Even better, every player gets a free small healing potion as a reward. An injured girl clutches the potion spawning in her hand, breathing a sigh of relief. The chat goes wild with speculation. Who is this mystery swordsman? Some immediately bet it's the famous 10-star prodigy, Suman. Others argue it could be a different swordmaster, but they all agree on one thing. This kill proves the dungeon is beatable. Meanwhile, back in the clearing, Suman is freaking out. He totally forgot about the public achievement system. Realizing this could expose his power level, he decides to move in silence from now on. He plans to toggle total concealment to hide any future achievements. He's also kinda shocked, 30 minutes in, and he's the only person to kill a single monster. He heads deeper into the woods, but stops dead in his tracks. A pack of ferocious level 3 wolves emerges from the brush. Their green eyes glow with menace. Suman just grins with total confidence. He knows these guys. They are top-tier mobs for XP farming. Perfect chance to test drive his new ability. He already used his unique talent, Universal Ascension, to upgrade that bronze scroll he got from the ape. The system triggered a skill sublimation, morphing it into a brand new, overpowered technique. He had just unlocked a wicked, low-tier silver skill, Draw Cut. The mechanic was pure samurai-style sheath the blade, laser-focus the mind, and unleash hell in a single motion. The moment those wolves howled, Sumin triggered his new toy. A massive crescent of neon blue energy crashed down on the charging pack. That energy arc tore through the wolves with absolute destructive force. It was a total bloodbath. Suman's draw cut didn't just hit them, it decapitated and shredded the entire mob, granting him pure XP farming bliss with every kill. By 9:30 in the morning, he stood alone in the dead silent clearing, the ground literally paved with enemy remains. Smirking, he watched the sweet system pop-up confirm it. Level 9 reached. And a shiny new title, Legend of the Hungry Wolf. He realized this long-range Iaido strategy was the ultimate meta for farming low-tier trash mobs. He reset the stance, sliding the blade back home to focus his intent. He charged the energy, locked onto a target, and with a steely gaze, unleashed another banger. A second massive wave crashed down, ready to wipe another squad. But this time, unexpected resistance. Suman's eyes went wide. His killer move just got deflected in a burst of smoke and fire. From the chaos, a hulking figure stepped out. A massive hybrid wolf beast with glowing red eyes, tagged by the system as the level 10 Wolf King leader, staring him down with pure malice. While Sumin was speed leveling, the other students were barely getting their act together. Back at 8:30, an hour after the dungeon opened, squads finally formed and pushed through the portal, ready to clap back. Battle cries rang out as the fresh parties, backed by the main student force, started pushing back the monster hordes. One squad got caught in a desperate scrap. A blue-haired student lunged forward, slicing a mutated rat monster to save a fallen teammate. He and his buddy watched in shock and relief as those sweet XP orbs showered them. A system ping confirmed the kill. Mutated field mouse. The squad hyped up their victory, feeling that momentum. With the main force arriving and healing potions on deck, they knew they could take this W. One student literally wept tears of joy finally hitting that level up. But the vibe shifted instantly when a shocking announcement echoed through the dungeon. The system broadcasted another First Blood title claim, this time for slaying a leader monster. The details left every student in the dungeon shook. The player who pulled off this feat was a level 9 fisherman. The reward? The Leader of Leaders title. Disbelief spread like wildfire. No one could wrap their heads around a non-combat life profession being that OP, let alone hitting level 9 already. The scene rewinds 10 minutes to reveal the mystery fisherman's identity. It was Suman, rocking his total concealment skill to spoof his class, right before throwing hands with the Wolf King leader. The battle was intense. Suman's power slash rained down, but the beast was insanely agile, barely dodging the direct hit. Still, the attack clipped him, carving a deep, bloody gash, and tanking his HP bar. No hesitation, Suman launched into the air with insane speed, driving his blade down for the finisher. System confirmed the W. He'd taken down the Silverback Wolf King, bagging 500 XP, enough to hit level 10. His skill proficiency spiked, and the loot dropped, an iron-cutting clawbone, and the Wolf King's heart. This victory triggered the Leader of Leaders announcement across the entire dungeon. Meanwhile, deep in the woods, Yandine and his crew were locked in a nasty scrap with a wolf pack. Exhausted and covered in gore, they finally dropped the last mob. One of Yandine's boys sighed in relief, thankful the attack boost scroll the global buff from the Leader of Leaders title popped just in time to save their skins. Then he mentioned the mysterious level 9 fisherman who snagged the title. Hearing that, Yandine exploded. He couldn't process how a player with a trash life skill class. Watching a healer speedrun levels felt like a slap in the face to a pure combat main like him. He raged at his garbage machete, convinced Su Ming had straight up scammed him out of his cash. If he hadn't been played, he'd be rocking a proper silver-grade weapon right now instead of this trash. One of his boys tried to talk him down, chalking it all up to Su Ming having insane RNG luck. But Yan Ding wasn't hearing it. He snapped, turning that toxic energy on his own squad, calling them dead weight. He screamed that he was the one tanking all the damage while they did nothing. After slaughtering all those wolves, the split XP only bumped him to level 2. He felt totally ripped off. His crosshairs locked back onto Su Ming. He swore if he caught him inside the dungeon, he'd end him. The squad tried to chill him out, but Yan Ding just scoffed. Meanwhile, miles ahead, Su Ming, already hitting level 10, crouched in the brush and pulled up a fresh system interface. A shiny notification popped up. Congrats on hitting level 10. Main class change quest triggered. The mission details were about to generate randomly based on his current status. Su Ming knew this was his moment. In his past life, he didn't hit level 10 until after he exited the rookie dungeon. Back then, the system rigged his class advancement to a high-level dungeon way above his pay grade. He couldn't clear it, forcing him to grind all the way to level 15 before retrying, which tanked the quality of his rewards. But this run? Different ballgame. By hitting the level cap, while still inside the starter zone, the quest scaled to his immediate surroundings. Just as he calculated, the objective dropped. Hunt the Red Rock Cave Guardian, An elite mob in the raging tide forest. A smirk crossed his face. This was going to be a cakewalk. Eyes full of confidence, Su-ming realized his first-class advancement was basically in the bag. He dumped every single stat point straight into agility. Boom. Another system panel. Flashed with a bonus reward. He'd just broken the 100-point agility barrier. Result? A low-tier platinum passive skill for the Sword God class, the Sword Martial Master. This ability was broken. It let him equip any sword type, completely bypassing level and stat requirements. Cut to the first Chuang Academy conference room. An assistant slid a holographic leaderboard to Director Wang, tracking top performers from nearby cities. The director's jaw dropped. Su-ming, his 10-star prodigy, wasn't even on the charts. The assistant tried to spin it, suggesting Su-ming's sword controller class was just a late bloomer, but even he had to admit, not cracking the top 500 was suspicious. Suddenly, the doors flew open. A woman stormed in, radiating pure fury. Enter An Ranling, vice mayor of Shuangqing City. And she was not happy. She called the director out on his hype about this so-called 10-star genius, noting that the data showed 0 results on the leaderboards. Director Wang tried to stutter a defense, but she cut him off, accusing him of inflating Su-ming's stats just to secure more entry tokens. For the elite Sky Tower Council, she pointed at the live feed only Yan Shi and Santan were showing real potential. Because of this flop, she made a ruthless call, slashing the Academy's allocated tokens from 3 down to just 2. Then came the ultimatum. If the Academy bottomed out in the rankings again, next year's token allocation would be 0, a complete shutout. Dropping that bombshell, the official exited stage left. Principal Wan stood there frozen, clutching those 2 tokens like a lifeline, his heart sinking. The Celestial Tower Council was the golden ticket for his students. He'd bet the house on Su-min snagging an extra slot, not fumbling the bag and losing one. Now, all he could do was pray Su-min wouldn't ghost on his potential. Meanwhile, deep in the raging tide forest, Su-min pulls up to the ominous mouth of the Red Rock Cave. One check of the map confirms it. This is the spot for his class change quest. Finally, a moment to breathe. The path here was suspiciously quiet, but staring into that abyss? Different story. Since he skipped this dungeon in his past life, he's flying blind into unknown danger. Game face on, he steps cautiously into the void. Boom, ambush. A wretched blue creature drops right in front of him. Glowing red eyes, sharp teeth. It's a level 6 gold miner goblin, and it's looking at him with pure malice. Before the imp can squeak, Su-min's blade blurs. He tries to speedrun the kill, desperate to silence it before the whole cave wakes up, but that reflex backfires. Hard, a system window pops up. Congratulations, you just triggered the Goblin Cave alert. Special Goblin mode initiated. Su-min freezes. Realization hits him like a truck. This class change isn't going to be a walk in the park. The darkness shifts, revealing a massive tidal wave of goblins, eyes glowing, like crimson warning lights. As they charge, the system drops the bad news. Every single mob in Red Rock Cave is now aggroed onto him. Continuous attack mode. Another panel breaks it down. Goblin mode isn't just a buff. It's a behavioral state fueled by chaos and greed. Forced into a desperate grind, Su-min starts hacking through the mob. Individually, these guys are trash mobs, but a swarm this big? That is a legitimate death sentence. As he kites them deeper into the cavern, a new worry creeps in. Can his weapon's durability even survive a fight this long? Suddenly, he spots the real problem looming in the shadows. A massive, elite goblin winds up a glowing, oversized weapon. The beast leaps, bringing the hammer down like a meteor, forcing Su-min to scramble. But he walked right into a setup. The second Su-min is airborne. Goblin archers unleash a volley from the dark. A rain of arrows tags him, chipping away at his health. Landing rough, he realizes these aren't mindless NPCs. They are tactical, hitting him exactly when his guard is down. The beatdown doesn't stop. The moment his boots touch dirt, 2 rogue goblins with daggers drop from the ceiling. Clang, he parries just in time, but the pressure is relentless. He checks his status. Mana is tanking fast. Spamming his Divine Shadow skill isn't an option for much longer. Encircled by the Horde and their tanky elite leader, the odds look trash for an early game player. Most would panic facing this head-on, but Su-min? A confident smirk cuts across his face. If brute force is a dead end, it's time to get flexible. Executing a massive backstep, he wall runs off the cave sides, launching himself out of the kill box. Evasion first. The goblins pause, totally confused by the retreat. Now lurking behind a rock formation, Su-min watches them scramble with a predator's grin. The trap is set. From his cover, Su-min blinks to a high ledge above the swarm. He unleashes a massive wave of energy from his blade. The shockwave tears through the mob, insta-killing the smaller goblins. Checkmate. Su-min knew this would work. With the high ground secured, he abuses the range of his draw slash to sweep the board. He keeps the pressure on, wiping out the stragglers with another strike. He sticks the superhero landing amidst the loot drops. Dead silence. The elite goblin stands alone, watching, in disbelief, as his entire army evaporates in seconds. Suman walks up slowly to the wounded boss, its health bar blinking red. No escape now. But unbeknownst to him, he's got an audience. Outside the cave, a snake in the grass, literally one of Yandin's crew, is watching from the bushes. He gets on the comms, reporting everything back to his leader. The sound of steel clashing echoed from the cave's mouth. Yanding scoffed, brushing it off. No way anyone was dumb enough to rush in there. Taking on a level 7 zone right out of the gate? Absolute suicide. But his partner wasn't letting it go. He swore he heard fighting. Then, the smirk dropped off Yanding's face. Footsteps, heavy ones, crunching closer from the darkness. He and his buddy locked eyes on the shadows, watching a silhouette slowly detach itself from the gloom. Who the hell was hunting monsters in a death trap like this? Then, the stranger stepped into the light. Yanding froze, his brain short-circuiting. It was Suming. Battered? Yes. Bleeding? Sure. But standing tall, like a total winner. Suming spotted the rats hiding in the bushes and sighed. It is true what they say, enemies really do have a way of bumping into each other. He didn't even register their petty grudge. His mind was miles away, still processing the fight. That class advancement mission was no joke, way too close for comfort. But hey, he hit level 11. Worth it. Suddenly, his instincts screamed. Yanding, fueled by pure salty rage, lunged from behind for a cheap shot. Suming didn't even turn around. He just sidestepped the clumsy strike like he was swiping away a fly. Yanding gasped, totally shook. His sneak attack flopped hard. Humiliated and furious, he barked at his two cronies to circle up and block Suming's exit. Emboldened by his backup, Yanding got in Suming's face, blaming him for every loss he took that day, ranting about how bad luck brought them together in this dungeon. Suming just stared at the trio. Deadpan. Zero interest. Yanding kept running his mouth, taunting him, trying to get a reaction, trying to make him sweat. Suming just tilted his head and dropped the bomb. Wait, who are you again? Yanding choked. Total silence. The realization hit him like a truck. Suming didn't remember him. The disrespect, the rage boiled over. How could he forget the guy who took him for 5,000 adventurer coins? Screaming like a maniac, he signaled the squad to rush him. The three stooges charged. Suming stood his ground, thinking, really? We are fighting just because I have bad memory? Then, a smirk tugged at the corner of his lips. He gripped his hilt. Actually, this was perfect. Time to test drive the new gear. With a subtle flex, he summoned his blade. The steel ignited with a swirling crimson aura. He didn't hesitate, he unleashed the sword control technique. Whoosh! The blade launched itself, tearing through the air on its own. It moved faster than the eye could track. Before Yanding's crew could even blink, the energy-guided weapon slashed through them in a blur of red light. Bam! The three bullies were sent flying backward. They hit the dirt, screaming in agony. Game over in a split second. Suming grinned. Not a bad demo for a new toy. Yanding, writhing on the ground, looked up with terror in his eyes. He recognized the move, sword control. But that was impossible. His brain couldn't compute while the blade hovered above him, spinning menacingly. That is high-level stuff. A rookie swordmaster shouldn't be able to pull that off yet. Meanwhile, inside Suming's head, he was tracing the skill back to the source. He snagged a sword control scroll after dropping that goblin, the elite one. Then, he used his broken cheat skill, Universal Ascension, to mod the scroll. He took that low-tier trash and upgraded it into a god-tier ability. But he wasn't just happy about the damage output. It was the perfect cover. It fit the Swordmaster vibe exactly. Keeping his true mythic class under wraps was priority number 1. But then, his mind shifted to the real loot. After clearing the class advancement mission, he unlocked a blueprint for a hidden chest location, standing tall. Over his groaning enemies, he pulled up the mysterious map on a glowing gold holographic interface. As the data loaded, Suming's swagger vanished. His jaw practically hit the floor. He stared at the screen, speechless. The coordinates for the hidden treasure pointed straight to Red Rock Cave, Part 2. Instantly, he was annoyed. Seriously? I gotta go back to that hellhole? And it got weirder. The map had a bizarre subtitle, Goblins, Trade, and Life. Total gibberish to him. Meanwhile, cut to 11:30 in the morning. Deep in another part of the forest, a squad of 3 girls was hyping themselves up after a win. They just took down a massive beast. One of them, already level 7, let out a huge sigh of relief. Her friend kept it real, though they only survived thanks to their 7-star teammate, a girl with mint green hair named Fen. She literally carried the whole fight. With the boss down, one girl rushed over to grab the loot, totally pumped. Fen, being the MVP, turned to check on her squadmate. She swore she was good to go, but a split second later, Fen's face twisted into pure terror. She scanned. The area, completely rattled. Their third teammate, the girl who went to grab the loot, had vanished into thin air. Panic spiked as Fen swept her gaze across the clearing. The monster's corpse was dissolving into particles, but her friend was a ghost. No struggle, no tracks, nothing. She was standing right there, a heartbeat ago. Then, the realization hit her like a truck. Her eyes went wide with horror, and a blood-curdling scream tore through the forest. Meanwhile, Suman's golden blueprint unlocked a disturbing new bestiary entry, Goblin Ecology. The lore was dark. It described goblins living in deep, shadow-drenched tribes, ruled by iron-fisted chiefs and shamans. The system didn't hold back to keep their numbers up. These things snatched female creatures by any means necessary. It even projected graphic footage of students being dragged away. Suman recoiled, totally, sickened by how twisted the goblins were in this timeline. He shook it off, locked in, and tracked the blueprint's coordinates. Moments later, a system ping confirmed he'd reached the target zone, but there was nothing but a dense, dead silent forest. He scanned the perimeter, confused. The map screamed Red Rock Cave Part 2, but there wasn't a cavern in sight. Was the GPS glitching? He froze, trying to piece the puzzle together. Suddenly, a heavy fog rolled in, blinding him completely. Sensing a trap, Suman immediately triggered his eye of perception. His vision sharpened, slicing right through the illusion. Boom! A massive, rat-shaped monster was lurking right there. The beast flinched, realizing it was busted. Suman just flashed a cocky grin. He figured it out. The cave name was just bait to keep adventurers searching for a physical hole in the wall. The real entrance wasn't a cave at all. It was this illusion, camouflaged and guarded by the rat beast. Shattering the spell, Suman revealed the true path, a deep, subterranean shaft, and dove straight into the darkness. Mid-fall, he spotted firelight below and realized the goblins were using smoke to mask the entrance. He stuck the landing in a massive cavern, face stone cold. He spotted a lone goblin scout but held his fire. Taking out even one grunt would trigger goblin mode and swarm the entire nest. He had to stay focused. He was just here for the loot. But as he pushed deeper, he stumbled across the lifeless body of Fen. She must have been ambushed the second she fell through the smoke trap. Suman grimaced in disgust. These things were just as vile as the bestiary said. Suddenly, desperate screams echoed from the shadows. Up ahead, another student, short purple hair, was cornered by a goblin pack. She was still breathing, and a cold, practical thought crossed Suman's mind. He could use her as bait to distract them while he grabbed the treasure. He actually considered leaving her to die, telling himself it was her own fault for being too weak to survive. Just as he turned his back, the girl screamed one last plea, begging for her life and promising a massive payout. She dropped a bomb. Her big sister was the vice president of the Yannan group. Suman's eyes snapped open. He realized exactly who she was. In that split second, the goblins lunged at the terrified girl. Suman made his move. He launched his sword, which spun through the air, trailing arcs of red energy before slamming into the ground and blasting the monster's back. He vaulted over the stunned beasts, landing right next to Yan Yuning. Without hesitation, he triggered sword control. The weapon snapped back to his hand, glowing with intense crimson power. He charged up a draw cut, unleashing the strike, but instead of blood, a massive explosion of non-lethal light flooded the cavern, just as he planned. He remembered the lore. Goblins had a critical weakness to intense light. Seizing the moment, Suman grabbed the stunned Yan Yuning and hauled her up. He knew as long as he didn't kill anything, the flashbang would just scatter them without triggering the deadly goblin mode. They sprinted to safety. Glancing back, Suman confirmed his theory the blinded goblins weren't chasing. Yan Yuning, panting but safe, blushed as she thanked him. That's when Suman recalled the photo his sister. The ID check cleared she really was Yang Lan's baby sister. Didn't matter. He iced her out, completely ghosting her thank you as he turned to bail. Yuning scrambled to offer rewards, name-dropping her OP sister again, but Suman cut the sales pitch dead. He told her to focus on actually surviving this dungeon first. When she begged him not to ditch her, Suman dropped the hard truth. He already saved her once, and her lack of power was just going to drag him down. Even after that roast, he checked his treasure map and realized she was still tailing him. Pretending she was invisible, he locked onto a glowing marker on the map. X marked the spot right there. While Yuning nervously scanned the perimeter for respawning goblins, Suman started digging. Moments later, bingo, he unearthed a massive silver-quality chest. He knew this was the level cap for a rookie dungeon, but he was about to break the game with his universal ascension talent. He triggered the skill to buff the quality, and the chest erupted with a blinding golden glow that left Yang Yuning standing there, jaw on the floor. Suman gripped the transformed prize. It was officially an upgraded, low-level gold loot chest. He knew these things were basically high-stakes gacha pulls with insane drop rates for OP items, skills, or gear. With a cocky smirk, he cracked the lid, ready to see what RNG blessed him with. Yuning stared as intense light blasted out from inside. Two items materialized, an ornate golden shoulder guard and a shimmering golden scroll. A system notification popped up, identifying the loot, a piece of the Shadow Current set and a skill scroll for a Soul Healer. Su Ming inspected his gold tier haul, but the hype crashed instantly. Disappointment hit hard. The armor was a solid drop, but he grumbled seeing that the platinum-grade Soul Healer scroll was totally useless for his class build. Seeing him tilted, Yuning nervously suggested that maybe the scroll dropped because she was nearby. Su Ming shot her a confused look, and blushing, she dropped the bomb. Her awakened class was a 7-star Soul Healer. That reveal left Su Ming completely speechless. Immediately, a system alert pinged. Yang Yuning had joined the squad, and he was now the party leader. Meanwhile, in another sector of the dungeon, things were getting way darker. A student got absolutely wrecked by another player. A system panel hovered over the killer, displaying his objective. A class advancement main quest requiring 50 player kills. Current body count, 33. After deleting his victim, the assassin from Wujing Academy flashed a cruel grin and scanned for his next prey. He locked onto Yi Yao. Covered in blood and fueled by pure rage, she refused to be just another stat. She summoned a skeletal warrior to clap back. Chaos was spreading through the entire dungeon. At 12:30 p.m., a massive explosion erupted from the ground, forcing a terrified Yi Yao to run for her life. She managed to break away, desperately scaling a steep cliff face until she found a tiny ledge to hide on, crouching there and watching cautiously, just trying to survive this brutal trial. However, that Wujing Academy killer was already prowling the zone below. Her stealth attempt failed the moment her foot slipped, knocking loose some gravel. The assassin snapped his head up instantly, his sharp eyes locking onto her hiding spot. Moving with insane speed, he vaulted up the cliffside and landed right in front of a shocked Yi Yao. He swung his massive weapon instantly. Yi Yao barely dodged the critical hit, but the blade still grazed her, leaving a nasty wound. The assassin stuck the landing on the narrow ledge, actually surprised a girl like her had survived this long. He kept taunting her, claiming she'd wasted his time though. He admitted she had some skills. Maybe Xuanjing Academy wasn't total trash after all. Wounded and furious, Yi Yao demanded to know why a student from the neighboring Wujing Academy raided her dungeon just to slaughter innocent people. With a sadistic grin, the attacker shrugged, no deep reason. He flashed his system interface, revealing that his level 10 class advancement quest required him to eliminate 50 players. Yi Yao froze in horror. The killer explained he couldn't exactly trigger a massacre like that in his own city's dungeon, so he'd cruelly flown a private jet all the way here just to hunt. If you want to blame anyone, blame your trash-tier academy for being the absolute weakest in the region, he sneered. He called her school soft as pudding, easy to crush, and charged again. In a panic, Yi Jiao summoned a skeleton warrior to tank the hit, but the defense was a total joke. The assassin laughed at her flimsy summon like it was made of wet paper. With one savage strike, he cleaved the skeleton in two, not slowing down for a second, as he bore down on the defenseless girl. The Wujing Academy student grinned, making it clear there was zero chance she was getting away this time. He unleashed his signature move, a crimson vortex of death called the Flying Blood Blade Stab. Just as the blade was about to end her, a green arrow whistled out of nowhere and deflected the lethal strike. The killer roared in frustration, scanning the area for the intruder. Suddenly, a squad of students burst from the tree line. Their leader, Yan Si, stepped up to shield Yi Jiao. She let out a breath of relief the cavalry had finally arrived. Her classmates were here to back her up. Yan Si drew his glowing bow, locked and loaded for a fight. Meanwhile, at high noon in another part of the forest, Su Min just finished his grind. He dumped the gathered fragments into the system, and a crispy notification popped up instantly. Class change mission cleared. He had officially ascended to the legendary Sword God class. The promotion came with a massive stat boost, plus 10 points added to every single attribute. His mythical sword body talent evolved, doubling his raw strength instantly. Speed, mastery, power, everything was buffed. Su Min felt invincible, surging with main character energy. He was ready to solo the hidden dungeon boss. He turned his attention back to Yan Yuning and tossed her the Soul Healer skill scroll like it was nothing. The system confirmed she popped the item. A radiant light engulfed her as she absorbed the new ability. The stats flashed on the panel. Soul Reinforcement, a high-grade platinum skill. That is top-tier loot. Once activated, it burns soul power to boost experience gain by a massive 200%, and it applies to the whole party. Su Min and Yan Yuning stood there, jaws on the floor. Su Min couldn't believe her RNG luck. She literally pulled a god-tier power-leveling cheat code. Realizing he was staring at a walking XP farm, a calculating smirk crept across Su Min's face. He flipped the script immediately and agreed to carry her through the rookie dungeon. Yan Yuning was over the moon. She knew a guy who could solo the Goblin Cave. was way more reliable than those sketchy mercenaries her sister threw money at. Su Min sighed internally. He usually hated pay-to-win rich kids who bought their way to the top. But he wasn't stupid. He couldn't pass up a grinding buff that broken. Suddenly, Yi Jiao shot a DM to Su Min, and he got the ping instantly. Seeing the alert, he raised an eyebrow. Why was she texting him right in the middle of a crisis? Back at the battle, the rival student was going absolutely feral. He was wiping out Yi Jiao's teammates one by one. In the chaos, Yanxi tried to make a move. He fired a shot, but the enemy sidestepped it like it was in slow motion. Yanxi froze. He couldn't wrap his head around how easily this guy dodged his best shot. The attacker didn't hesitate, rushing Yanxi and another teammate with his massive greatsword. Seeing that beast charge at them, they panicked. He unleashed the flying bloodblade stab again. Boom, headshot on the teammate, instant kill, watching their allies drop like flies. Yanxi and Yi Jiao fell into despair. This opponent was on a completely different level. Yanxi looked around, his squad was wiped. Yi Jiao couldn't believe Wujing Academy bred monsters like this. Then it clicked. Yanxi remembered the intel he read before entering the dungeon. There was a sword prodigy from Buyun City, a guy everyone was talking about, Li Chenwang. A 10-star talent with the hidden class Sword Maniac. The killer raised his blade, walking them down. It was him. Li Chenwang sneered as he closed the distance, realizing only 2 targets were left. He complained about his slow grind. He had only racked up 35 kills so far. Yanxi was next. Gripping his bow, he realized the hard truth. A ranged carry is toast if he can't kite the enemy. Behind him, Yao dropped the bad news. Her mana was tapped out. Summoning spirits for defense was off the table. Yanxi grimly asked if the cavalry was actually coming. Yao frantically swiped open her system interface. 0 notifications from Su Ming. The reality hit her like a brick. No one was coming to save them. Li Chenwang cackled, mocking their helplessness. Then he launched a full-speed blitz, aiming straight to take out the archer, tired of his pesky potshots. But in a split second, Yi Yao threw herself in front of Yanxi to take the hit. Too slow. Li Chenwang closed the gap in a blink, smashing Yao's weapon aside and landing a nasty cut. He sneered at her arrogance, shouting that the weak have 0 business playing hero. As he raised his blade for the kill shot, a sword streaked down from the heavens like a meteor, blocking the strike with a deafening clang. From behind, Yao heard her name and instantly recognized that voice. Su Ming stepped onto the scene, declaring that she absolutely had the power to save everyone. Striding forward, memories flooded back in his past life. She was the one who saved him. Yao's eyes went wide. She'd specifically warned him to stay away from this death trap, but Su Ming just kept walking toward the enemy. In this timeline, he wasn't letting anything happen to her. He triggered his sword control skill, snapping his weapon back to his side. Li Chenwang's face twisted in recognition. This was the legendary 10-star sword controller. Fueled by pure rage at seeing Yao hurt, Su Ming launched a direct assault. Watching from the sidelines, Yao and Yanxi were floored by the sheer intensity of the clash. Yanxi realized that with some ranged support, they might actually bag this win. Suddenly, a warm healing aura washed over them. Wounds knitting together, they looked back to see Yang Yuning. She introduced herself as Su Ming's teammate, a soul healer. But pumping out that much healing was already draining her stamina, so she sat down. Yanxi knew having a healer was a total game changer. Yang Yuning admitted she was still kinda new to mastering her skills and needed a sec to recharge. Yao was stunned. Didn't Su Ming swear he was a solo player? Yet here he was with a squad mate. Moments later, Yang Yuning fired her healing back up, patching them up. Yanxi urged her to hurry, leaving Su Ming to 1v1. A monster like that was way too risky. Yang Yuning just smirked. Don't sweat it. Su Ming is on another level. Meanwhile, Su Ming was relentless, raining blows on Li Chenwang and forcing him back step by step. Dodging for his life, Li Chenwang finally got serious. This kid wasn't just some random sword user. His movement tech was insane. After shoving the villain back, Su Ming suddenly held his ground. Li Chenwang laughed, admitting the kid hit harder than expected. Let's settle this today, he declared. Me, the 10-star sword maniac of Buyuan City, or you, Su Ming, the 10-star sword controller of Shuangjing Academy. Hearing the title, Su Ming paused. He remembered this guy was a big shot in his previous life, even if they'd never crossed paths. But, in this timeline, fate brought them together early. Without hesitation, he dashed forward to test whose steel was faster. Both fighters unleashed a torrent of attacks simultaneously. Amidst the sparks, Li Chenwang slipped a hit, hopped back, and spammed his signature move, the bloody blade flying stab. Seeing the projectiles incoming, Su Ming thought, cheap trick. Rapidly, he used his blade to deflect the incoming barrage. Seeing this, Li Chenwang smirked. Gotcha. The hero had walked right into his trap. As he spoke, he triggered the second phase. sending his sword spinning around the protagonist like a buzzsaw. He explained that the energy from his bloody thrust creates a lockdown field, freezing the enemy in place. He went for the execution, 100% sure it was game over. But the protagonist dodged it with godlike reflexes. Li Chenwang doubled down and struck again, but the kid sidestepped it calmly, signaling that it was his turn now. He triggered his sword control, recalling his blade to his grip. Catching the hilt, he stared Li Chenwang dead in the eye. "Let's see how you block this without a weapon." Instantly, he unleashed a devastating slash that connected squarely with his rival's chest. Blood sprayed from his arm as the blade bit deep. Yet, despite the agony, Li Chenwang, consumed by blind rage, he hoisted his blade and blitzed the hero, betting everything on the fact that his opponent was defenseless. Sensing the blindside attack, our MC instantly triggered Divine Shadow Step and started weaving through every single strike. Watching his attacks whiff over and over, Li Chenwang unleashed the 5 Chaotic Shadow Blades technique. But it didn't matter, the hero kept sidestepping every slash with god-tier agility. Li Chenwang saw red, realizing his opponent's speed had just skyrocketed. Before he could process it, the MC closed the gap and dropped a mock apology, explaining that his blade was already back in his grip. Right at that second, Yanxi and Yi Yao wrapped up their healing process. The moment Yanxi recovered, he sprinted toward the hero, yelling that backup was incoming and telling Su Ming to just hang in there. But when he actually pulled up to the scene, he froze dead in his tracks. The fight was already a wrap. Li Chenwang was laid out on the floor, totally defeated, while our MC walked past him, like a boss. Watching this, Yi Yao murmured that Su Ming was insanely overpowered. Yanxi, completely shook, pointed out that while they were barely recovering, he had already soloed such a formidable enemy. Suddenly, Yanxi screamed in panic, telling them to watch their six. The hero whipped around, only to find Li Chenwang back on his feet and launching a sneak attack, claiming he finally caught him slipping. The ambush took everyone by surprise. Yi Yao shrieked in horror as Li Chenwang slashed the hero's back, unleashing his ultimate move, the Torrential Forest Swift Blade, exploding with an intense red aura that swallowed the entire battlefield. After landing the hit, Li Chenwang stared down the protagonist and welcomed him into his kill zone. Yi Yao bolted toward the formation to save Su Ming, but Yanxi grabbed her wrist to stop her, explaining that charging in now would just be throwing her life away. Desperate, she insisted that she had to save him, even if it meant death. Suddenly, the hero's voice echoed from inside the trap, telling her to listen up. Hearing his voice, Yi Yao cried out his name, but he cut her off, firmly ordering her to stay back. Inside the formation, Li Chenwang unleashed a relentless barrage of attacks. Under the non-stop assault, the protagonist's body was critically injured, pushing him to the brink of death. Yet, he was still standing. While spamming attacks, Li Chenwang roared in fury, confused how the hero was still breathing after taking so much damage. Just then, a voice popped up right behind him, asking if he was sure those hits actually connected. Totally blindsided, Li Chenwang realized the sound wasn't coming from the front. Simultaneously, the figure of the hero in front of him started to glitch and fade away. Seething with rage, he realized he had been fighting a decoy the whole time. The clone vanished completely, and the real protagonist stepped out from the shadows behind him, blade in hand. Cool as ice, he explained that he finally figured it out, noting that no matter how hard he thought, he never expected a mere sword controller to have this level of skill. Right then, he procced the 5-piece bonus of the Shadow Sword set, a low-level platinum gear set. A system notification popped up, Darkness Surge, indicating that all sword skills would now deal additional damage with a dark attribute, completely bypassing physical defense. Plus, the set skill, Shadow Clone, generated a decoy for defense, and if it took a hit while active, it triggered a counter-slash dealing 50% of normal damage. Seeing the hero's full loadout, Li Chenwang started sweating bullets, claiming drop sets didn't exist in the beginner dungeon, leaving only one explanation. The hero had already cleared a specific hidden quest. The MC calmly confirmed he had indeed finished the initial job change quest. Then, he leveled his blade straight at Li Chenwang and readied his strike. Seeing the attack incoming, Li Chenwang, a mix of nerves and rage, realized the hero was actually faster than him. In a split second, the MC's blade pierced right through him, exiting the other side and making blood spray violently. While landing the hits, the hero coldly declared he was about to slaughter him. He unleashed a combo of slashes, but suddenly, Li Chenwang whipped out an artifact and tossed it forward. As it activated, a blinding light flooded the entire arena. The protagonist threw up a hand to shield his eyes from the glare. From a distance, Yanxi and Yan Juning clocked the object and their jaws hit the floor. Yanxi identified it immediately, a lifesaver emergency escape tool, an item that goes for hundreds of thousands of adventurer coins. It's the kind of loot that's basically a myth inside a standard dungeon like this. But Lichen Wang didn't hesitate. He'd already popped the artifact to teleport to safety. Watching the guy flee, our MC smirked. The neighboring city really dropped a massive bag to protect their precious 10-star genius. Zero expenses spared. A few hours later, we cut straight to the director's office. While scanning the dungeon metrics, a staff member paused. Something in the code looked glitchy. Behind her, the director was busy slurping down a bowl of noodles. Between bites, he asked if the real-time player rankings were ready yet. Not yet, she replied, frowning at the screen. But the kill logs are weird. A bunch of players got wiped out at the 9 o'clock position between 12 and 12:30. The director shrugged it off. Dungeons are dangerous. Did a squad run into a boss mob? That's the thing, she countered. The damage analysis confirms they were deleted by another player's data, and the ID signature doesn't match our region. That finally made the director pause his lunch. He narrowed his eyes. The neighboring city was pulling dirty tricks again. Archive those logs securely, he ordered. Every city's beginner dungeon was a race to see who could speedrun the clear first. And historically, Shuangjing Academy was considered the bottom-of-the-barrel easy prey for everyone else to bully. Shaking off the mood, he asked for a sitrep on the student's progress. The assistant scanned the map. Looking solid. Our students have secured most of the teleport zones. Limited live feeds show the top-tier players are making moves. They're forming massive raid parties to take on the boss phases. Leading the charge is the Sang family's young master San Tang, the 8-star magic hammer warrior. The director nodded at the screen, just as expected. That kid is a beast. He did some quick math. San Tang was level 6 hours ago. The standard beginner boss is a level 12 mob. With that size of a raid group, he estimated the kid should be pushing level 10 by now. Hopefully, he'd crush the boss soon and bring home the W. Suddenly, a male student shouted that the live rankings were finally loaded. The director rushed over. The student pointed at the screen, buzzing with excitement. You were right. San Tang is level 9, practically 10. He's tied for first place on the live board. The other one is Yancy, right? The director guessed. Spot on, the student confirmed. And looking at second and third, right on their heels are 2 female students. The undead summoner, Yao, at level 7, and the spirit healer, Yan Juning, sitting at level 8. The assistant beamed. The girls are absolutely slaying this year. But the director frowned. Any sign of Suman on the leaderboard? She scrolled down the list. He's not even in the top rankings. Refresh it, the director demanded. Where is he exactly? What's his level? Another student pulled up the MC's specific profile and gasped. Found him. He's level 2. The office went dead silent. According to the logs, the student stammered, he hasn't leveled up once since getting first blood. Smash cut back to the dungeon. Our MC stands over the fading corpse of a massive, elite fanged beast. The second it dropped, his XP bar exploded. He shot straight to level 14. System notifications flooded his vision. Not only did he power level, but he also unlocked the hidden level 14 armor set. Yao and Yancy were standing right there. Yao checked her stats. She'd hit level 8. This is insane, she cheered. We've been grinding for barely 2 hours and we're flying through levels. Yancy flexed. I'm already level 10. I'm actually strong enough to solo the dungeon boss now. It's all thanks to Yan Juning's XP boost buff, he admitted. That multiplier is broken. Yan Juning, now level 9, smiled softly. Don't thank me. Thank Sumin. He gave me this god-tier skillbook in the first place. Gigao is absolutely buzzing, hyping up the squad like they're the next big thing. Sustain that boosts XP? Check. Yancy delivering pinpoint DPS from downtown? Check. Her own summons tanking for the crew? Double check. But the real MVP? Having a powerhouse like Sumink calling the shots. Our MC stays cool though, telling them to chill out. Don't gas me up, he says, brushing it off. I'm just tagging along for the ride. Gigao isn't having any of that humble attitude. She snaps back, reminding him that if he hadn't clutched up, Li Qinhuang's sword would have turned her and Yancy into shish kebabs. She recalls the absolute spectacle of him dominating that fight. With their current synergy, she's convinced they could steamroll the dungeon's normal boss. You're not wrong, Sumink admits. But we're not here for the small fry. He whips out a mysterious key. We're hunting the hidden boss, a target way out of their league. He holds up the water wave key, fresh loot from that elite beast they just dropped. Key in hand, he drops the lore. To trigger the secret boss in this newbie dungeon, you can't just walk in. They gotta solve 3 system-generated riddles and gather specific artifacts. It's puzzle time. Ping. First riddle flashes on the HUD. When the silver moon hangs by the shore, green waves part, and red armor sleeps in the cold abyss core. Right on cue. A spectral silver moon manifests in the sky. Sumink locks onto the visual cue immediately. It's all about positioning. Since this starter dungeon doesn't have dynamic weather systems, he figures there's only one spot where the vegetation naturally grows in a crescent shape. The hidden boss is waiting right beneath the lake's surface. Boom. He leads them straight to the water's edge. Second riddle pops. Lake water turns to mist guided by iris petals. Beneath sunken sand, the armor keeps the ancient pact. He grins. He's been prepping since step 1. He pulls out the iris flower he snagged back in the ape monster zone and fuses it with the water wave key. 2 down, 1 to go. The final clue materializes. Hold the star pattern key. To reflect in the lake bottom, 9 waves circle the bedrock. The knight rests, head on sword, awaiting the light to break the murky waters. Following the script exactly, Sumink executes the move. The key starts glowing like crazy. The squad behind him is jaws on the floor. They can't believe he speedran those puzzles. Suddenly, whoosh, a massive whirlpool tears open the lake. The team recoils as the water churns violently. Slowly, a massive sword pierces the surface from the center of the vortex. As it rises, a monstrous knight breaks the waterline, gripping the blade. His voice rumbles like an earthquake, guided by oath, summoned by starlight. The second the boss spawns, Sumink's HUD explodes with red alert warnings. Target identified. Guardian of the Lake, the Lost Knight. No time to gawk. Sumink instantly spams invites to Yancy and Gigao, locking himself in as party captain. Battle stations, now. As they snap into formation, the system announces the Hidden Boss Challenge has officially started. Cut to 15 minutes later. Sumink and the crew are cowering in some bushes. Yancy looks skeptical. Are you sure about this? Is hiding really the play here? Gigao adds, sporting a super awkward, nervous smile. She suggests trying literally anything else. Sumink? He completely ignores them. His eyes are glued to the boss, who is currently tearing through the forest like a runaway freight train, smashing everything. He points. Look at that. Watch how he moves. That speed is terrifying. You really think we can take him head on? The boss's mount has a movement speed of 500. The Lost Knight is level 19. Stats: 301, Strength, 250, Constitution, 102 for Agility and Spirit, 10 Luck. And again, that mount speed is a flat 500. Plus, he's rocking level 5 Heavy Armor Mastery. The team reads the stat sheet and starts sweating bullets. Sumink drops the hard truth. Even if we combined all 4 of our speeds, we wouldn't even hit half of his velocity. Suddenly, screams echo through the woods. Some random players were scattering like roaches, screaming in pure terror as they tried to process the nightmare they just walked into. None of them could wrap their heads around it. A level 19 hidden boss spawning out of thin air? That's basically a death sentence. The Lost Knight was an unstoppable force, carving through players like butter while the forest drowned in their agonizing screams. Safe in the distance, our main character's squad watched the massacre unfold, eyes wide with horror. Yancy was visibly shook, murmuring that this was already the 3rd wave of nearby players to get completely wiped out. Yang Yuning was trembling, realizing the clock was ticking. They were the ones who summoned this beast, and they needed to move, now. Right on cue, Yi Jiao sprinted up from the rear, breathless, but reporting that she'd followed the protagonist's orders to the letter. They'd burned through the team's entire stash of mana potions to prep the delayed trap. Hearing this, he gave her a genuine nod of appreciation. No time to waste. He barked orders at Yancy and Yang Yuning to execute the plan. They shouted their confirmation and scrambled into position. As the protagonist moved forward, his mind raced in his past life. He'd never been crazy enough to challenge the starter dungeon's hidden boss. Even with all his experience, taking on the beginner dungeon's secret boss was uncharted territory for him. Most newly awakened players wouldn't dare summon this nightmare so soon after gaining their powers. It was practically suicide. Plus, since this dungeon is a one-time clear, nobody knew the boss's true form, just vague clues from old logs he'd memorized. But even he didn't expect the boss to be riding a mount with a speed stat of 500. That changed everything. To kill it, they had to ground it first. Once everyone was set, Yancy triggered his multi-shot skill. He unleashed a torrential rain of arrows, sending a deadly swarm screaming straight toward the boss. The Lost Knight casually drew his blade, deflecting most of them. The few that actually connected just bounced off his armor. 0 damage. Thanks to Heavy Armor Mastery level 5, Yancy realized his ranged attacks were basically tickling the guy. Suddenly, a system notification popped up. The Guardian of the Lake had locked onto a new aggression target. Reading the play, the team shifted gears. Perched on a hill, Yancy shouted that he'd successfully pulled the boss's attention. Yang Yuning confirmed the signal and immediately triggered her ability. Meanwhile, our protagonist slipped into his ambush spot, a faint smirk playing on his lips as he ran through the strat. Phase 1. Yancy pulls aggro with precision shots. Phase 2. Yang Yuning drops a smokescreen on the enemy's path. The goal? Totally blind him. It was a nasty little trick they'd picked up back in the Goblin Caves. Like clockwork, a thick cloud of smoke engulfed the zone, leaving the boss completely disoriented. The Lost Knight swung his weapon wildly, searching for a target, Just as skeletal hands burst from the earth below, they clamped onto the mount's legs. Yi Jiao had triggered her summon skill right on time. The trap sprung, forcing the massive beast to fight for its balance. Yi Jiao watched in awe. If the protagonist hadn't walked her through it, she never would have guessed you could stack basic summons into a delayed trap like this. While the beast struggled, another volley of arrows came whistling down from the distance. Yang Yuning slammed him with spirit absorption magic to tank his speed. The hidden boss was officially surrounded. Watching the chaos, the protagonist stepped forward with icy determination. Phase 3 was a go. The plan? Lock down the mount using Yi Jiao's skeleton trap, stacked with Yang Yuning's slow debuff. He realized he couldn't have pulled this off solo, he needed the team. Seizing the opening, he blitzed the Lost Knight from behind, grabbing him and torquing his body with massive force. He literally ripped the boss out of the saddle and slammed him into the dirt, screaming, "Get off your high horse." After being a pain in the neck for way too long, the knight hit the ground hard, but he scrambled back to his feet instantly. The boss locked his death stare onto the protagonist. Meanwhile, the squad was hiding in the bushes, prepping their next move. Seeing the boss finally separated from his mount, Yang Yuning couldn't hide her hype. "We actually took him down," she cheered. But Yi Jiao warned them to stay sharp. This was only phase 1. Everything was playing out exactly like the script the protagonist laid out 10 minutes ago. Back then, Yi Jiao had been worried. "We're going to empty our mana bars just to ground him. We won't have anything left for the actual fight." The protagonist had looked her in the eye, totally unfazed. "That doesn't matter. That's enough," he'd said. Then, flashing a confident grin, he added, "When the time comes, I'll handle the rest." Back in the present, the protagonist coolly pulled his sword from his inventory. Game on. He squared up, launched himself like a rocket, and declared he was going to solo this freak. He slammed into the Lost Knight, triggering an all-out brawl. The boss reacted instantly. Swords crashed head-on, sparks flying as they traded rapid-fire blows. The shockwaves were insane, rippling out so hard his teammates felt the vibration way back in the safe zone. Watching the chaos, Yancy stepped up, nerves frying. She realized this fight was getting way too violent. She couldn't believe Su Mink was actually soloing a hidden boss of that caliber. She refused to just watch. She prepped her skills to jump in, but Yi Jiao blocked her path with a chill smile. He reminded her to trust the process. Su Mink called dibs on the boss, and they had their own job to handle. Meanwhile, our main character triggered Divine Shadow Step, blurring around the Lost Knight. He blitzed the enemy from every angle, stacking damage. But the knight wasn't slow either, it kept charging, trying to clap back. The MC locked in, parried the strike, and analyzed the situation with ice-cold logic. Too slow. He scanned the mob's stats, everything looked standard, except speed. Mounted, this guy was pushing 500. Now, he tanked to a measly 55. That was his base speed without the horse. Realizing this, he instantly whipped out a vicious slash. He carved across the Lost Knight's chest, deciding right then that hidden bosses aren't all that hype. He wound up for a finisher to end it, but the enemy's heavy armor soaked up the impact. Though with every hit, that armor's durability was shredding fast. A system alert popped up. Weapon durability critically low at 7%. The MC's face hardened. His blade was running on fumes, and that heavy armor attribute was nerfing his damage output big time. Suddenly, the Lost Knight made a move. It jerked violently toward where it was dismounted, desperately scanning for its ride. Empty space. The MC shadowed him close, dropping a savage taunt about the missing horse. He knew the mount was the knight's ace in the hole, but too bad the squad had already hauled it away. Cut to the teammates, they had successfully wrangled the beast. Keeping it way clear of the kill zone, Yi Jiao wrestled the animal, shouting at it to quit struggling. "You ain't going nowhere," Yancy hollered at Yan Juning to keep spamming her magic. Anything to debuff its movement. Yi Jiao grinned with pure confidence, knowing this side quest was key. Su Mink gave them this job personally. Flashback to the plan. "If we knock the boss off the horse, I handle the boss. You guys make sure he never gets back in the saddle." Back in the fray, the MC fired off ranged slashes straight at the Lost Knight. Bullseye every time. The enemy tanked the hits, inching forward. It raised its blade, unleashing Howling Water Blade, sending a tsunami of power at our hero. He sidestepped the blast, thinking sarcastically, "Oh, so he does know some tricks." He kept weaving through the attacks effortlessly. The knight charged again, sword raised for the kill. MC clapped back with sword control, sending his weapon flying to slice and dice the enemy from 360 degrees. Constant damage output, but mid-combo, another alert flashed weapon durability, down to 3%. He didn't blink. He kept the pressure heavy on the knight, forcing the monster back. Simultaneously, he checked the enemy's armor stats. He couldn't afford to waste any more of his blade's life bar on that plating. The armor was on the brink of shattering. He spammed attacks from every side, then recalled the sword to his grip. Gripping it tight, he lunged. The Lost Knight parried, slipped past the defense, and struck, impaling the blade straight through the MC's chest. But at the moment of impact, the hero's body began to glitch and fade. A voice echoed from behind. Works the same every time. Players, monsters, doesn't matter. The impaled body was just a clone, vanishing into thin air. The real MC materialized behind him, full gear set activated, smirking at the insane power boost as he wound up for the kill. He didn't waste a second, triggering sword control instantly. The blade hovering by his clone snapped into action, unleashing a 360-degree assault on the Lost Knight. The enemy scrambled, desperately trying to dodge the onslaught. But right then, our main character blinked into existence right behind him, smashing his armor. Heavy armor breached, he announced coldly. Simultaneously, a system alert flashed red. Weapon durability had hit 0. It was useless now. Zero hesitation. He activated Shadow Blade, delivering the final kill shot. Game over, he stated, ice in his veins. Cut to Shuangjing Academy. Director Wang strode into the comms room, the tension thick in the air. Arrival time? Late. Someone cracked a joke about him finally showing up. Seeing the other directors already deep in conversation, he kept it serious, noting it looked like they'd been at it for a while. Over the comms channel, another director chimed in, claiming they'd all just got there. Wang was the straggler. Then, a second director threw some shade, asking if he was dragging his feet because none of his students had the guts to challenge the boss yet. Same as every year, the clear rates wouldn't start rolling in until after 3 in the afternoon. A third voice piled on the mockery, reminding everyone that Shuangjing Academy always sat at the bottom of the barrel, so who cared if he was late? Wang shot back, clarifying he wasn't late because of the dungeon run, but because he'd been analyzing live data streams. He dropped a bombshell. Outside players had hacked their way into his academy's beginner dungeon, and they still hadn't ID'd the culprit. His voice went hard as he asked if it was one of their students from the other 3 cities pulling a fast one. He noted the kill logs showed pure sword skills, pointing a finger directly at Buyan Academy's prodigy, Li Chen Wang, who was famous for his blade work. Hearing his star pupil's name, the Buyan director snapped back, demanding Wang stop throwing around baseless accusations. He swore his student was currently leading the raid on the final boss in their dungeon, and would have it cleared in under 30 minutes. Following that, the other directors started flexing their progress. One claimed that over at Donglin, 3 separate squads were already boss rushing. Another boasted that Nangan Academy had already pushed the boss to Phase 2, and if they kept up the momentum, the dungeon cleared notification was imminent. Director Wang absorbed the intel with a stone-faced expression. The other academies were breezing through their boss fights, and every second was ticking away. He pulled some tokens from his pocket, his face darkening, as the reality set in. If they missed the first clear title this year, they'd be left with only 2 tokens for the Tower Society, an all-time historical low. He steeled his gaze, pinning all his hopes on the one player, closest to the boss room, Sungtong. It all rode on his power now. Meanwhile, back inside the dungeon, Shuangjing students were in a chaotic brawl with the mobs alongside Songtong. The intensity was off the charts. Songtong roared for a coordinated push, telling everyone to stop holding back and dump every skill they had to drop the final boss. Their target? The Furious Forest King, a level 15 beast that was absolutely wrecking any student dumb enough to get close, spreading destruction like wildfire. In the heat of battle, panic set in. Some students started backpedaling, screaming in terror as they realized they were totally outclassed. Their levels were just too low to scratch this thing. Sangtang locked eyes with the beast, gritting his teeth. "No retreat," he yelled. They'd come too far to bail now. Fueled by burning determination, he screamed that the first clear reward for this starter dungeon had to be his. Standing toe-to-toe with the monster, Songtong's mind flashed back to the texts on his phone earlier. Messages from Xiaoman, begging for help. He'd texted back, asking what went down and if Su Ming was involved. She confirmed it. Su Ming had hurt her. In that same thread, Songtong had demanded her location, promising he was on his way. Xiaoman's last text was all about revenge, pleading for him to help her get even. That memory fueled his rage. He charged the monster, screaming that he'd secure the final reward and avenge Xiaoman. But just as he raised his weapon for the strike, the monster suddenly started glitching out and fading away. Sangtang froze, totally confused. Suddenly, every single player inside the dungeon got a system ping. Jaws dropped as they read the alert. The hidden boss had been defeated, congratulating the squad responsible for the kill. Then came the announcement. Everyone needed to gear up for the victory lap. Then, the frame shifts to Su Ming, standing over the corpse of the hidden boss. Game over. Mission accomplished. Meanwhile, team member Yi Jiao clocked the system notification, absolutely certain who triggered it. "That's Su Ming," she declared. No doubt he crushed it. Outside the dungeon, the news hit like a shockwave. The exact second the boss dropped, the dungeon portal in the comms room lit up like a Christmas tree, right in front of Director Wong and the heads of the other 3 academies. Then came the pop-up. One headmaster asked, "Did Li Chen Wang pull it off?" Another swore it was Dong Ling. The third insisted it had to be Nan Gang. Wang spun around to check the leaderboard. Seeing his academy's name glowing on screen, his eyes nearly popped out of his skull. Back in the instance, Yi Jiao rushed Su Ming, pure hype mode, screaming about how insane that was. Right then, Su Ming's stats skyrocketed. He hit level 16, jumping 2 whole levels instantly. The system pinged a congratulations alert. The rest of the squad gathered around him. Su Ming waved them over. "Huddle up, quick. We need to split the hidden boss loot before the exit portal triggers." Hearing this, Yanxi shook his head. "I don't want any rewards. Honestly, the XP boost is enough." Yan Yuning nodded in agreement, thanking Su Ming for literally saving her life. Yi Jiao watched them hesitate while Yanxi kept rambling. "From saving us from Li Chen Wang's blade to soloing the hidden boss, I was useless. I didn't have the power to do anything. Taking a cut of the loot, I'd feel guilty as hell." But while Yanxi was still monologuing, a reward notification flashed in his face. The captain transferred the wrought siphon bow directly to him, a level 20 item for expert archers. It's passive, it burns through spiritual energy, to add a random magic effect to every single arrow fired. Then, Yan Yuning got a ping. The captain assigned her the Soul Heart necklace. It buffs soul power storage and boosts absorption efficiency. God-tier gear for a spiritual healer. Yi Jiao wasn't left out either. Su Ming tossed her a summoning scroll, the blood-armored undead. Once she learns that skill, she can summon the actual hidden boss, the Blood Armor Undead Knight. The summon stats? They scale based on the player's attributes. Seeing their faces, Su Ming grinned. This loot is class-specific. It's tailored to your professions. It means the dungeon recognizes you as part of the team that took down the boss. It's not just me. Without you guys, this run wouldn't have been possible. He stated it like a fact, not a compliment. Suddenly, a mechanical voice boomed through the dungeon, congratulating all challengers on clearing the F-rank instance, Furious Tide Forest. Total clear time clocked in at 8 hours and 20 minutes. Hearing the announcement, Su Ming signaled the team. "Time's up. Let's bounce." The portal swirled open behind them. Walking toward the light, he broke it down. "Every time you clear, you hit the settlement phase. Contribution rewards get dropped once we're back in the real world. Once we exit, a personal portal spawns for every surviving player." With a satisfied smirk, he signed off. "Great work, everyone. We're all alive. Mission success." Later that afternoon, exactly 4:30, the portal ripples, spitting students back into reality, one after another. Officials are scrambling to confirm headcounts, but the vibe is grim. It's a parade of tears and trauma. Some kids stumble out bleeding. Others are physically fine but emotionally shattered, unable to stop the waterworks. They watched friends and family get wiped out in the trial. One student, choking back sobs, drops a horrific stat. Class 5 is decimated. Only about 10 people made it back alive. Su Ming's squad watches the chaos unfold. Yanxi's voice drops an octave. He admits he's the sole survivor of his original party. Yi Jiao nods, looking haunted. She's in the same boat. Her entire previous team is gone. Jiang Yuning confirms it's the same for him. Hearing this, Su Ming's expression hardens into stone. He realizes the awakening didn't just change the game, it rewrote reality. We're in an awakened world now, where the strong eat and the weak get eaten. Winner takes all. If you want to stay vertical, under these new rules, you have to grind, face the horror, and level up until you're untouchable. The scene is a total contrast. Half the crowd is grieving lost loved ones, while the others are high on adrenaline, flexing their new powers and counting their loot. It's chaotic, absurd. Suddenly, the director's face hijacks the main screen, livestream style. He congratulates the survivors on beating the starter dungeon, but he drops some truth. That wasn't just a raid, it was their final exam, the last lesson before graduation. He tells them straight, awakening isn't just about flexing power, cash, and glory. It's about responsibility, love, peace. He tells the mourners to hold on to that pain, and reminds the winners that power comes with a heavy price tag. Step up or step aside. Silence sweeps the crowd. Yi Jiao shoots a glance at Su Ming. "How are you feeling? Sad? Happy?" She's looking at the body count. Su Ming just murmurs, barely audible, "They'll be back." Right on cue, the director speaks again. He hopes everyone found their own worth in the chaos, because that was the real point of the starter dungeon. Then, he drops the bombshell. Everyone who died, they're respawning in 30 minutes. The crowd goes dead silent. Pure shock. Nobody believes it. The director doubles down. They're coming back from the dungeon right now. Yi Jiao stares at Su Ming like he's an alien. How did he know? Cut to the director's office. He's scrolling through the performance analytics. Dungeon stats are locked in. It's loot distribution time. Names start popping up on the holo screen. Li Guang shows up with his kill count. Then Song Kui hits the board with his elimination numbers. Based on their grind, they're raking in adventurer coins. More names scroll by, everyone getting paid based on how hard they worked. Then, Su Ming's name hits the screen, and the kill log is insane. Gray-backed wild wolf, mutated ape, lesser goblin, elite goblin, spiked fang beast, even the elite version. The list just keeps going. He took down the hidden boss, cleared his job change quest, and ghosted the Red Rock Cave, taking 0 damage. He bagged first dungeon kill and perfect challenge, rank S evaluation. Tally it all up, and he earns the Rookie King title. That's plus 15 to all stats and a 10% boost to skill proficiency. Absolutely broken. His total contribution to the raid? 91%. A total carry. Suddenly, the door creaks open. Director doesn't even look up. You're late. It's Su Ming. The director points out Su Ming took first place in the school and the city rankings. Su Ming just shrugs. I overslept. The level leaderboard flashes up. Top spot, Su Ming, level 16. Second place is a tie between Shangtan and Yanxi at level 12. Jiang Yuning takes third at level 11. Yi Zhao is fourth, level 10. Fifth is Li Kehan, level 8. Sixth, Shang Xiaoyang, level 7. The gap is massive. Looking at the stats, Su Ming realizes the tutorial is officially over. High school life? Done. No more hiding his power levels. No more laying low. Because from here on out, the skill gap between him and his classmates? Absolutely massive. Just then, Su Ming looked down and realized the director was literally clinging to his leg like a toddler. He asked how long the guy planned to stay down there, but the director was too busy sobbing tears of joy to care. He thanked Su Ming profusely, admitting that whatever crazy method he used, he had finally saved Shuangjing Academy's reputation. For years, they had been the laughingstock of the rankings, but now, the old headmaster of Buyan Academy was totally speechless. That guy used to trash talk them at every inter-school meeting, but Su Ming had just silenced him for good. Their academy was now ranked number 1 across all 4 neighboring cities, and Su Ming had swept first place in every single starter dungeon. Hearing the hype, Su Ming asked where Li Chenwan from Buyan Academy ended up. The director explained that the so-called genius, the sword freak, only managed to scrape by with third place overall. Apparently, he took a nasty hit halfway through, which tanked his boss clear time. Then, the director got serious. He asked Su Ming how he actually pulled off beating the hidden boss. Even with 10-star talent, he was still just a sword controller, a class that's notoriously weak in the early game. Plus, Su Ming didn't come from a wealthy family and definitely couldn't afford pay-to-win gear. Yet, he somehow soloed a boss way above his level. In all his years running the school, the director had never seen a student this overpowered. He doubted the starter pack items were enough to explain that kind of damage output. Su Ming played the humble card, claiming it was just pure luck, saying the RNG gods smiled on him with good skill drops. Hearing the word luck, the director looked skeptical, wondering if the starter dungeon loot table was really that generous. Su Ming quickly added that his team's equipment helped a ton, and honestly, without his squad, he never would have taken down the hidden boss. Internally, though, he knew he couldn't just tell the guy. He was a regressor playing on New Game Plus. The director beamed, saying this proved Su Ming wasn't just a combat genius, but a natural-born leader too. He mentioned that the other students had already grabbed their top 5 rewards earlier, and that Yi Zhao wouldn't shut up about him, swearing she saw his power firsthand. Su Ming took a small step forward, remembering she'd texted him that morning to hang out, but he'd left her on red. She always tried to hype everyone up. It was almost embarrassing. Suddenly, the director flicked a token through the air, signaling him to catch it. Su Ming spun around and snatched it mid-flight, his eyes widening as he recognized the Sky Tower Assembly Pass. The director grinned, explaining that since they took first place, even the Plus, vice mayor who used to look down on Shuangjing, was forced to strip spots from other schools and give them to Su Ming's crew. This year, they secured 5 slots for Su Ming, Yi Zhao, Yanji, Yan Yuning, and Santang. The director started to lecture him on how important this item was, but Su Ming cut him off. He didn't need the tutorial. He knew exactly what this was. In his mind, he knew the Sky Tower Assembly was the holy grail for awakened rookies. Usually, after clearing the tutorial dungeon, students were considered graduates and officially entered the awakened world. Most of them were stuck grinding low-level dungeons, inching forward safely. It was low risk, sure, but the progress was painfully slow. But holding a Sky Tower token? That was the fast track. The challenges were insane, but the loot was legendary, and the XP gain was off the charts. In his previous life, missing out on this ticket right at the start meant he could never close the gap with the top players, and splitting meager resources with a team held him back. But this run was going to be different. He was going to exploit every advantage and prep for the endgame. The director reached out to shake his hand, congratulating him on officially awakening and graduating from Shuangjing. But then came the warning. Future battles wouldn't be like the starter dungeon. There are no respawns here. From now on, you only get one shot, and every fight is a gamble with your life. He told the hidden genius to go out there and make history. Su Ming smiled, shook the man's hand, and thanked him. The scene shifts to the high-end district of Shuangjing City, where Yan Yuning was just getting home. The moment she opened the door, her dad rushed over, crushing her in a hug, just relieved his little girl made it back from the dungeon in one piece. On top of securing third place at the academy, the dad noted that the backup team Yan Lan brought in looked pretty capable. Standing nearby, Yan Yuning's older sister just smiled, admitting that this time, the glory didn't belong to her crew, but to an awakened student named Su Ming, who practically carried Yan Yuning. Yan Yuning didn't hesitate to confirm it. She explained that the hired help her sister paid for walked straight into a monster trap, and she almost wiped out in that dungeon. But luckily, Su Ming swooped in and saved her life. He didn't just protect her. The guy hooked her up with high-tier skill books and equipment. He power-leveled her and cleared the dungeon by her side. She described him as an absolute beast of a challenger. Her sister chimed in, mentioning she actually tried to recruit Su Ming as a bodyguard for Yan Yuning before, but things got rocky, and he turned down the bag even for a crazy high price. She never expected fate to throw them together. Inside the instance, they all agreed they owed this guy a massive thank you. The father rubbed his temples, noting that both girls seemed to hold this teammate in high regard, so they needed to find the perfect moment to show some formal gratitude. Then, getting hyped, he said he actually wanted to meet and awaken this powerful himself. He ordered Yan Lan to track down Su Ming's contact info and announced a huge celebration for Yan Yuning conquering the dungeon, promising to hire a celebrity chef for the feast. But while he was talking, his phone started buzzing. He picked up, trying to brush it off and cancel his meetings. However, the moment he heard the voice on the other end, his face dropped. He asked them to repeat the intel clearly. The voice reported that over the last 2 days, someone had dispatched assassins to hit multiple people in their faction. He demanded to know who was pulling the strings. The answer was chilling. It was the Sang family. 2 days later, Su Ming got a call from Yi Yao, reminding him that they were rolling out to the Sky Tower realm today. She warned him not to pull his usual lone wolf act. Su Ming told her he was tracking and had spent those 2 days prepping, so he'd link up with them shortly. Yi Yao confirmed they'd be waiting. After hanging up, Su Ming recalled the director's instructions on how to summon the teleportation gate for the Sky Tower assembly. All he had to do was use the token to rip open a portal, a gateway that only qualified users could cross. With that in mind, he whipped out the token and held it up. Upon activation, a rift opened in front of him, followed by a system notification confirming his qualified status. Seeing the portal sparked a rush of excitement, he took a step forward and crossed the threshold. Thinking about the new grind starting in the Sky Tower, the scene shifted instantly to the location. Su Ming stepped out of the portal, staring up at the colossal structure looming before him. This was the 100-level tower, the heart of the assembly. A smirk crossed his face as he remembered that in his past life, he only made it here way too late in the game. Now, he watched as challengers from all over the country, clutching their own tokens, teleported in one after another, all ready to take a crack at this place. The adrenaline was kicking in. To enter the tower, he quickly flashed his token for verification. A system prompt popped up, confirming his identity as Su Ming. The massive doors creaked open, taking in the view inside. He was actually a little caught off guard. Right then, another alert popped up, telling him to hold tight for the opening ceremony in the first-floor lobby, where all the rookies had to gather. Su Ming walked through, scanning the environment, noting that this hall was totally different from the one in his past life. This time, it was way more massive. Suddenly, someone shouted his name. Turning around, he spotted Yi Yao, Yan Shi, and Yan Yuning. He mentioned they were early birds. Yi Yao shot back, annoyed, saying they'd been waiting forever, and complained that he never wants to stick with the squad. Su Ming replied that he showed up exactly when the message said to. Yi Yao hinted that they were basically besties now. She explained that after surviving the initial dungeon hell together, they were officially comrades and battle buddies. She pointed out that they were the only ones from Xuanjing Academy who actually qualified for the Sky Tower assembly, so they needed to watch each other's backs for whatever chaos was coming next. Mid-conversation, a voice cut in from behind, asking if they had completely forgotten about him. In a split second, Song Tang rushed Su Ming, throwing a sucker punch straight at him, screaming not to ignore him. Su Ming dodged the attack effortlessly. The crowd gathered in the assembly immediately locked eyes on the two of them. Whispers started circulating that someone. The tension snapped, and suddenly everyone was looking around who was crazy enough to start a brawl right here. Yao, looking totally lost, turned to Santong and asked, "Yo, what is your deal right now?" Santong didn't use his words. He summoned his blade, the steel glinting with menace. "I'm here to collect the debt for what happened to Xiaoman," he growled. He stepped up, eyes blazing. "You ghosted me back in the starter dungeon, Su Ming. Hid like a coward so I couldn't find you." The crowd gasped, whispers spreading like wildfire as they saw the weapon drawn. The guy looked ready to throw hands right then and there. Yao tried to cut in, asking, "Wait, what does Xiaoman have to do with this?" But Santong completely iced her out. "Honestly, didn't think a rat like you would even qualify for the Sky Tower Assembly," Santang sneered. "But this is perfect. I can end your run right here." Su Ming didn't even flinch. "Cool as a cucumber," he replied. "Chill out, man. The drama between me and Xiaoman, it's complicated." Suddenly, a robotic voice boomed from the heavens, shaking the entire arena. "Warning. Conflict detected." Su Ming smirked, glancing around. Not exactly the smartest spot for a beatdown, is it? And literally, a split second later, boom! A massive bolt of lightning slammed down from the tower, striking Santang with the force of a freight train. He hit the deck, hard. A holographic notification flashed in the air for everyone to see. Any action messing with the Sky Tower's vibes was strictly prohibited. Fried and sprawled on the floor, Santang glared daggers at Su Ming. "Don't think you're walking away from this," he wheezed. "Just wait for my comeback." Su Ming just flashed a confident smile. "Careful now," he teased. "Big brother is watching you. Let's settle this properly after the main event, yeah?" The crowd started to scatter, realizing the show was over. People were murmuring, realizing that even though there were no greeters, the admins had eyes everywhere. "This Sky Tower Assembly isn't just some casual meetup," someone whispered. Meanwhile, in the back, a mysterious redhead with a piercing gaze analyzed the scene before fading into the crowd. Su Ming signaled his squad. "Let's move, we're going up." Yao blinked, confused. "Up? The ceremony hasn't even kicked off yet. Shouldn't we, read the tutorial guide or wait a bit?" Back at the blast zone, a few good Samaritans rushed over to scrape Santang off the pavement. "Get him to the infirmary, stat," they yelled. While they dealt with the wreckage, Su Ming kept strutting forward, unbothered. He glanced back at his team. "Skip the line. Reading the manual is strictly for noobs who don't know the meta. The real cheat code is hidden in the seating arrangement." Yao's jaw dropped. "Dude, isn't this your first rodeo too? How do you know all this?" Su Ming winked. "Just watch and learn. All we gotta do is park ourselves here and stay quiet for a sec." Moments later, the air shimmered. The system interface buzzed to life right in the area where they were sitting. And boom goes the dynamite. Su Ming grinned. "Welcome to the Sky Tower's hidden selection menu." Yao stared at the screen, completely shook. "Seriously, I'm speechless. Our MC is out here using secret cheat codes that don't even officially exist yet." Suddenly, the system alerts everyone the Sky Tower Assembly has begun. It's a brutal 100-floor gauntlet. As the crowd stands there frozen and confused, Su Ming just eyes the hologram cool as ice. Still, in full speedrun mode, the wealthy healer signals the archer to snag a seat immediately. Realizing those chairs are the literal keys to the tower, our boy locks in the game mechanics. This is a vertical race. The higher you climb, the more legendary your final rank becomes. Ties are broken by speed and pure skill. Our girl realizes that in this game, every second counts. Or rather, every point. Su Ming drops a bombshell. The entire opening ceremony is a massive trap. It's an observation test. Waiting for speeches is for noobs. The real pros start their ascent right now. The devs want to see who's sharp enough to find the secret path alone. Su Ming offers his squad another carry. He asks if they're down for a round 2 like the beginner dungeon. The healer is already in. She craves the security of being carried by a legend, admitting that even with her family's massive fortune, a player this cracked is a rare find. But the archer unexpectedly declines, telling Su Ming that today, he's going solo. The healer is baffled who in their right mind turns down a guaranteed victory. He explains that back in the dungeon, Su Ming did everything while they just vibed in the background. He's tired of being a burden and relying on Su Ming's shadow. He needs to sharpen his own blade. Our girl nods in agreement. They need a real baptism of fire to see if they can actually survive. Instead of being cheerleaders, she suggests the three of them party up, letting Su Ming fly solo. The healer looks stressed about having to actually try, but our girl gives her the ultimatum. Realizing she is outvoted, the healer sighs and caves, finally admitting the truth. She needs to learn self-reliance. With the groups locked, Su Ming preps for a legendary solo run. As the trio forms up, the red-haired swordsman, Su Ming, previously wrecked, is watching from afar. His eyes are fixed on our MC. To him, their score isn't settled. This tower is the ultimate tiebreaker. Teams are locked, and the 100-floor madness officially ignites. Su Ming steps out as his squad cheers him on. Entering the portal as Challenger ID 001 Su Ming feels that familiar rush and steals his nerves. He expects the level 5 purple fiend tiger from his past life, a total walk in the park. But when the gate swings open, there's no tiger. Just one massive, extremely ticked-off chicken waddling toward him. Our MC is legit baffled. He recognizes this thing as a basic, young, free-range chicken. It looks tasty, but not exactly boss-level material. He wonders why reincarnation swapped a predator for poultry. He snatches the bird by its neck, questioning if the system glitched. This used to be a life-or-death struggle. Now he's just holding dinner. But then he spots the chicken's level display. It's just 2 question marks. He goes for the quick kill, but the chicken is built different. The bird snaps, unleashing a violent shockwave from its wings that forces Su Ming to release his grip. Skidding back, he realizes this isn't soup material. The chicken lunges with terrifying high-speed aggression. Meanwhile, the ceremony finally wraps for the slowpokes, and the system begins the mass teleportation. Suddenly, the crowd gasps. The leaderboard is already live. Someone screams out in disbelief. Rank 1 is already occupied by ID 002. Everyone is floored that someone is speedrunning already. Before the tutorial even concludes, rumors fly that the leader is a 10-star genius. It's the blade-obsessed Chong Gang from Yuyang City, already on floor 3. Meanwhile, back with Su Ming, he's currently locked in a brutal deathmatch with the chicken. They're trading blows at an insane pace. They're evenly matched. The bird strikes with its beak, and Su Ming barely evades the lethal hit. This poultry is legit a menace. Realizing the danger, he instantly triggers his stealth step ability. The bird's pecs are like bullets. He lunges, but the chicken counters with an explosive burst of speed. It dodges and ignites a skill so fast the bird literally looks like a streaking fireball. Its counterattack hits like a truck. Su Ming blocks it, but realizes his current combat skills are being tested. His signature techniques, draw sword and sword control, are hitting a brick wall. He desperately needs a tactical opening. Trading blows with this feathered freak is a total waste. His hard-earned head start is slipping away. Time to test drive that hidden boss skill from the novice dungeon. Su Ming grips his hilt, ready to strike. He dangles the bait, and the beast bites, leaping back. A smirk plays on Su Ming's lips. He has already mapped its path. As it touches down, he activates the third form. A massive blade erupts, shattering the earth beneath the target. Boom! A spectral claymore bursts from the soil, obliterating the target with sheer targeted destruction. Is it over? Su Ming mutters. But as the smoke clears, the bird is already taking flight again. Not a single scratch. The creature completely cheesed his ultimate. Our protagonist is actually shook by this development. Shock turns to pure salt. Seriously, is this infinite? This basic-looking poultry is packing some illegal levels of power. This stat line shouldn't exist on floor 1. Then he notices a weird detail and freezes mid-swing. Is it really just a normal bird? As it lunges, Su Ming shifts his stance. He isn't going for the kill yet. He executes draw line. It is an instant stun move designed specifically for high-tier poultry. Total lockdown. The bird starts glitching out, paralyzed. Su Ming grins, buffs or not, it is still just a dumb chicken at heart. No mercy. He delivers a clean finishing strike. Immediately, the system pings with a brand new notification. A cheeky lore entry explains the logic. Turns out that immobilization move relies on a real biological exploit. Tonic immobility, the ultimate stress-induced defense. It kicks in when these birds are flipped or forced into specific positions. Staring at a line sends a danger signal straight to the brain, completely short-circuiting their motor nerves. It plays dead to trick predators going totally limp. The system throws him a congratulations for the clear. Floor 1 cleared. As the portal swirls to life, Su Ming realizes that Monster's power was way off the charts. This wasn't a combat check, it was an intelligence test. This 100-floor tower is actually way more interesting than he thought. He checks the rankings. Claiming the throne is the blade maniac Li Chonggang, sitting comfortably at rank 1. The sweat lords are flooding in, and Su Ming's head start has evaporated. But he isn't mad, he is hyped. His competitive fire is blazing. He is winning this speedrun no cap. Meanwhile, the waiting room is pure chaos. The system finally spells out the rules for the slowpokes. It reveals the secret to entering the challenge. Just sit in the chairs. The system politely asks the challengers to take a seat to begin. Collective jaw drop. One dude starts malting over how simple it was, while others feel like they were low-key scammed. They sat through that boring ceremony like good little kids, only to realize they were getting trolled the whole time. Absolute panic erupts. Everyone scrambles for a seat, screaming because every microsecond counts in this race. They could have logged in from day 1. The realization finally hits them like a freight train. So that is why the Blade Maniac is already topping the charts. They refresh the rankings and see Li Chonggang has already crushed the 6th floor. The board flickers showing another squad hitting floor 4. Then the rankings refresh again. At user 001, the God of Slaughter finally makes his debut. He is officially on the map. Back in the lobby, the crowd is having a total meltdown over the update. The first player ID 001 just nuked the rankings, flying into 3rd place. with the edgiest name Godslayer. People are losing it, wondering if he chose that cringe name himself or if the system is just glazing him. Actually, Su Ming is currently staring at a prompt forcing him to choose a custom title for clearing floor 1. He is super confused. In his past life, the reward for this exact floor was basically trash tier. Just a dusty wooden box with some mid-grade potions. But hey, he is not about to complain about free loot. He enters his old job title, locking in Godslayer as his handle. The system doesn't hesitate. It scrubs his real name from the board. Perfect. Just as he likes it. Suddenly a level 3. Flying bat spawns and Su Ming instantly deletes it from existence. Downstairs, the spectators are in absolute disbelief. The crowd cannot wrap their heads around it, a floor 2 clear in exactly 60 seconds. But he is just warming up. He speed blitzes floor 3, one-shotting a level 5 troll hunter like it is nothing. Next up, 3 level 6 gray orcs get tossed into the meat grinder on the 4th floor. The lobby is hyperventilating as his rank skyrockets. 2 more floors down and he is still not slowing down. He's hunting down the silver medal spot at Mach speed. Suddenly a shout rings out, the leader is no slouch, and just breached floor 8. Spotting the blade-obsessed maniac chilling on the 8th floor, our protagonist lets out a truly devious, wicked smirk. He treats that hour-long argument with the floor 1 chicken as a mere handicap, and finally decides to floor the gas. Upon hitting the 5th floor, the massive gates groan open to reveal a level 7 saber-toothed Cerberus. Instead of letting the boss finish its cinematic intro, our guy lunges straight into the shadows, before the monster can even growl. He crashes through the doorway like a meteor, refusing to wait, and instantly deleting the creature's soul from reality. Meanwhile, the main trio is barely hanging on. Our future wife exhales, realizing they just narrowly escaped a total party wipe. She cheers for the squad, noting the archer's cracked damage and her own ability to lock down every single target. With their healer sweating overtime to keep those HP bars green, their synergy is finally starting to look god tier. But their self-congratulatory moment is cut short when the healer screams, pointing frantically at the glowing leaderboard rankings. In a heart-stopping blur, our MC has surged past them, comfortably seizing second place after blitzing 7 straight floors. Further ahead, the pint-sized demon holding the crown successfully conquers the 9th floor's final challenges. Wiping sweat from his forehead, he admits these mobs are finally getting spicy, though they're still no match for him. He knows they are still nothing he cannot handle, but the pressure is definitely starting to ramp up. Eyeing that exclusive 10th floor first clear bonus, he pulls up the rankings to see exactly who is trailing him. He identifies the mysterious Godslayer as our boy, but feels his lead is mathematically untouchable, despite the floor 1 delay. Smug and overconfident, he takes one last look at the screen only for his heart to drop into his stomach. He feels his soul practically leave his body for a permanent vacation as the reality of the situation hits him. Our MC is somehow sitting at rank 1, having vaporized the 9th floor, just seconds after the demon cleared it. On floor 10, our hero stands face to face with a level 50 berserk minotaur. Downstairs, the lobby has gone silent. Nobody even bothers entering the tower anymore. Everyone's glued to the leaderboard like it's a high-stakes blockbuster movie premiere. They all agree there is 0 point in climbing, while these 2 freaks are setting ungodly records that defy logic. The gambling starts immediately, with massive bets flying on who snags the floor, 10 trophy, and the hidden rewards. One girl loudly crosses her fingers for the genius blade maniac. But inside the dungeon, the vibe is very different. This boss fight is looking more like a one-sided bullying session. Our boy is simply built different and dominates the beast. He effortlessly dismantles the monster, shredding its health bar down to a miserable 15% in record time. Smirking at the wheezing beast, he mocks its trash-tier stamina for failing to last even half a minute against him. He offers a sarcastic thanks for the speedrun assist before officially deleting the floor 10 Minotaur from existence. He casually roasts the massive beast for its pathetic endurance, though he appreciates the boost to his personal record. A golden system notification erupts, hailing him as the season's first challenger to conquer the 100-layer tower's 10th floor. The system hands over a juicy bonus reward for his trouble, while the scene shifts to a sterile medical room. A nurse checks the vitals and happily announces that her patient's pulse has stabilized, and he's finally awake. Enter the blonde snake, the wealthy bully who took a nap after his legendary lobby meltdown and tantrum. He groggily opens his eyes, momentarily distracted by the nurse's generous proportions, but quickly shakes his head. He dramatically reminds himself that his heart belongs exclusively to Shui men, fully embracing his role as the ultimate simp. After firmly securing his status as a lover boy, his mind pivots back to his favorite hobby, plotting toxic revenge. He aggressively marches back to the starting room, eager for round 2, only to find the lobby completely deserted. A giant notification on the screen announces that our hero has already conquered the 10th floor and claimed the prize. Realizing every single player has already left him in the digital dust, pure, unadulterated panic sets in. He realizes his impulsive little stunt cost him dearly, leaving him trailing behind everyone else in the game. He concludes there is 0 chance he can catch up to our boy's level now, and feels his ego shatter. Being physically incapable of taking the L, he decides our boy must have maliciously set a trap for him. Declaring that fair play is for peasants, the rich bully grabs his communicator and activates his family connections. He sends a hit squad message to erase our hero, tragically monologuing that he was forced to do this. He tells the empty room that our boy forced his hand, then remembers he can check the tower system. Slumped in the lobby, that blonde snake pulls up the rankings, flicking through 100 names with a condescending sneer. He's hunting for our MC's real name, but finds absolutely nothing. Instead, he spots the runner-up, currently stalling on floor 16. It kills him to admit that guy is a total beast both in school and in this tower. Then he checks the throne. Seeing Godslayer sitting comfortably at the top of floor 18, he just rolls his eyes in pure disbelief. He scoffs, thinking the name Godslayer is some cringe, try-hard nonsense, talk about zero self-awareness. Meanwhile, the legend himself. Back on the 18th floor, our boy is absolutely shredding through mobs like they're made of wet paper. Wiping sweat from his brow, he admits the grind is finally starting to feel like a high-intensity workout. He hits floor 19, entering a neon purple cavern to face a level 20 nightmare. This boss's mechanics are a total migraine. The coward burrows deep underground, shielding its vital spots behind a massive reinforced layer of purple quartz. Even worse, its main strategy is just vomiting out endless swarms of trash mobs to clog up the surface. Every single minion is draped in that same impenetrable crystal plate. A standard silver blade would just shatter against this defense. But our boy is playing with a literal cheat code. He thinks back to that insane first clear bonus he secured. After dominating floor 10, the system blessed him with a legendary gold-tier weapon crate as a reward. He instantly triggered his All Things Ascend talent, magically evolving that gold loot into a god-tier platinum chest. Enter the Blackstone Cracked Fusion Sword, a level 18 dual hybrid forged from broken steel and dragon essence. This platinum masterpiece radiates a lethal aura, fueled by a core that burns like a miniature sun. It cloaks the blade in hellfire, unleashing devastating AoE magic damage while in its default longsword state. The raw power is insane, but the weight kills his mobility, making it a liability against swarms of tiny monsters. Surrounded by crystal pests, he isn't even sweating. He just casually taps into the weapon's special property menu. He triggers the broken blade feature, causing the heavy steel to split into two lightning-fast one-handed sabers. He trades raw impact for a 50% speed buff perfectly synced with his origin sword body talent bonuses. Now his lethality and velocity dance in a flaming rhythm. Meanwhile, life is going downhill for the second-place demon. Stuck on floor 17, his HP is deep in the red as he desperately brawls with a level 18 Treant. Gasping for air, he realizes he's hit a dead end. This wooden titan is weak to fire, but he went in solo. With zero fire attributes, he's basically hitting a brick wall. He starts violently raging about his terrible luck. He hasn't pulled a single decent stat buff. Losing that race to our boy meant he only got a trash tier reward. That silver chest was a joke, dropping a magic accessory that's completely useless for his physical sword build. Drained and desperate, the Blade Maniac gets hammered back by the boss's massive strike, questioning his entire existence. Hovering at death's door, he curses the fact that falling behind our MC forced him to accept garbage gear. That deadweight magic item is costing him everything. He knows if he pushes any further, it's game over. Before the system deletes him for good, he swallows his pride and officially throws in the towel. Suddenly, the global feed explodes with elimination alerts, as players start dropping out like flies. From floor 7 to 11, challengers are tapping out. Our boy watches the chaos unfold with a smirk. He realizes he's finally pulled ahead. It's time to finish off this crystal lurker on floor 19 once and for all. He rains down a savage aerial combo, smashing the beast's shell and dragging its true form into the dirt. He mocks the creature for hiding before a gold alert confirms the floor has been successfully conquered. Victory. Meanwhile, the broadcast keeps scrolling with news of entire parties getting annihilated on the higher floors. Floors 12 and 13 are slaughterhouses. Then the big announcement: the Blade Maniac has officially been eliminated. Seeing his rival fall at floor 17, our boy actually gives him a respectful nod for the effort. Reaching that high on a debut run is legit insane, especially since the tower's difficulty spikes after floor 10. Using his regression memories, he knows floor 20 is where the real nightmare begins, and stats go nuclear. He's pushing his absolute limits, but hitting level 20 right now gives him the perfect opportunity. Now that he's reached the threshold, it's time to unleash a forbidden move from his past life as a sword god. He steps onto the 20th floor, coming face to face with a massive titan, the level 25 Seal Knight. Our boy revs his speed and blitzes the knight, but the steel giant parries every strike with chilling ease. Completely unscathed, the colossal floor guardian retaliates, discharging a lethal surge of violet energy. The projectile connects perfectly, forcing our hero's health bar into a desperate violent tailspin. It vanishes by a third instantly. He realizes his current stats are completely outclassed here. Facing a one-hit kill scenario, he accepts that even a legendary reincarnator has his limits. He's hopelessly underleveled for this floor. Yet, he isn't bothered. This was always the plan. This raid was just a field test for his newest toy, the Shadow Blade, a level 20 skill from his past life that he cherished. Suddenly, he's enveloped in a terrifying crimson aura as he blitzes the behemoth. Meanwhile, down in the lobby, defeated challengers are being warped out. A frenzy of gossip ignites among the stunned survivors. One warrior admits he got folded on floor 10, while another tryhard boasts about surviving until floor 12. Despite the ego clashing, they all agree on one thing. The monsters beyond the 10th floor are fundamentally broken for any normal human player. They stare at the rankings, stunned, wondering what kind of monster this God Slayer is. To be casually blitzing the 20th floor on his